Here we are.
What's going
Right
on?
on time. Right on time.
Hey, I've got a question right off the bat.
I
Who
got
did
an answer.
Who did Bonepile take a picture of that he could qualify as a mountain man?
I don't know. I don't know where he sent it. I don't know where he sent it. I didn't see nothing of him. Chris has been wanting a picture of a real mountain man, so I sent him one today on his Facebook account. Oh, look. What are you drinking there? Apple juice?
Yeah, always. It's my favorite.
Always out. How's it going, guys?
Good.
It's going.
How was the
Going well.
How was the first weekend of bear season for y'all? Have some fun?
Pretty good.
Slow.
Pretty good.
Slow. My dirty dog's old. My yucky dog's gone. My other dogs are waiting for Yucky to say where to go.
Chris is in that transition phase of when you lose some good
Mhm.
dogs and the young dogs used to rely on them, and now the young dogs got to figure it out, and they ain't quite decided they want
No.
to yet.
I'm just figuring out who they want to be in life, and it's worked out all right this weekend. But we'll
That's
see.
So for
good.
everybody out of state, Arizona started. Our Friday was our first day of bear season. So, and I did not see as many people as I thought I would, but in Unit 1, they shut down rifle. So it's only archery. So I don't know if
Yep.
that was part of it, but they still shut down the day. They're
Yep.
shutting down the day but I was elk hunting. I kind of made a decision that I need to fill my freezers and start aging some meat before I get a bear. But bear open again here in a week and a half. We got hound trials this weekend. We got the rendezvous next weekend, which everybody's messaging about because there's a fire. La-di-da. We already got it. I have another coordinates. We're going to go to Casey's shipping yard if the fire department don't move out. If they get some with firefighters, if they get some good rain this weekend, I think everybody looks at their little social media and they freak out. But a lot of times on these fires, they're not as bad as they look like.
Yeah.
on
I
the
mean,
internet.
I'm sitting in between Williamson Valley and Chino Valley right now, and as far as the eastern sky, it is blacker than shit from all the way up north, clear down past below Prescott Valley. So hopefully they're getting some rain up there right now.
We just got a little bit.
It's coming your way. It's black, and you can see
We got
it's
it.
hammering out that way for sure.
Yeah, we got probably about 40-45 minutes of good rain and then some sprinkling for about another hour.
I mean,
The problem
an
with Arizona.
an hour ago it was 98, and right now it's 83.
Yeah.
It's dropped.
Yeah.
So the problem with Arizona is acre rain. It'll
Yeah.
dump right there at your neighbor's house, an acre
Yep.
over, and you'll still be dry.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
hopefully, cross your fingers. It don't matter. We got another spot for the rendezvous.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Just hope either way something's getting rain over there. Hopefully it goes where it needs to.
Yep. So we got our list of giveaways is getting bigger.
It
We
is.
got Whitaker's is supposed to send us some holsters. Cal Ranch gave us a gift card. TL Jones sent us some books. Warner Glenn stuff. AWDA watch stuff. Garmin XL Cold Strike Gear is going to give that up. Game calls by Dirty Hooks. This guy here is Bryce Box. I think it's Box, and he's the guy who spoke at the April 11th meeting, and he was just well spoken.
We got some gear coming from Marsupial Gear and Onyx as well.
Onyx, tree ties. If Kyle King can get them made in time, I don't remember his name, and the guy in Tunnel Basin's throwing in a holster. But the Dirty Calls threw in like 4 calls, a set of reed calls, some turkey calls for all you turkeys, because most houndsmen are turkeys anyway. Brett Vaughn threw in the Dale Lee CDs, like a pack of those.
Yeah, I'm buying enough tickets to win that.
Missy Hell is throwing in some tie-outs. Utah Houndsman Association?
Yep.
Or whatever. It's Utah Houndsman Association, right?
Yeah, it is.
They're throwing in an ice chest, and Colorado, what are they called? UHC.
United Houndsmen of Colorado contacted me. Haven't heard final for sure, but there's talk of they're donating a collar. So a
Yeah, they're
TT25.
Yep. Maybe two. If we say it on the air, maybe they have to. I mean, a good houndsman association would, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm working. I don't have the final on it, but I'm working on this girl that does like hound hunting painting deals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I mean, it's a deal. I just gotta send her the money for the materials, and she'll ship it out.
I got 100 koozies ordered, AWDA stuff. So we'll give some of those away, and you can buy some of those, and we'll have some shirts. Cold Strike Gear is gonna be making shirts there.
Yep.
So, and if you need a special order one, I guess you have to take an order. I don't know.
Well, we'll figure it out. So we're gonna make any pre-orders for the Hound Hunter Rendezvous shirts. I'll have made and be there for pickup. If you pre-order them, they are up on my site now under the ADWA swag. And then I'm gonna have a couple options of my stuff up there, and anything that I sell of mine up there, proceeds are gonna go back to the AWDA there as well. So just doing what I can.
Jeremy's building us a pouch to donate too. I didn't write it on the whiteboard.
There we go.
If anybody knows me, if I don't write it down or do it right then.
I'm not gonna lie. I think Jeremy's a little bored tonight because I checked the comments and he commented at 5:45. He was excited tonight. Jeremy was excited.
He's ready. Let's see what do we got going on over here. Some of the name.
So
what else we got going on? Anything else before we get going?
I don't think so. Not too much other than Benny's supposed to be fishing and he's stuck dealing with food truck stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, can cups. Yes, I'm making can cups. I got a whole bunch of cans.
Benny.
So, man, my ear.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm supposed to be on a boat with Cody right now, with Cody King, and here I am.
Yeah. Cody and I had a great conversation about dogs the other day, and I'm excited. I think of what's going to come from that conversation that him and I are talking about, but that's for another day.
Is he coming? Do we know?
He's possibly coming.
He's talking about flying into Sholo.
Yeah, Sholo or Prescott. When I talked to him, I told him if he flew into Prescott, I'd take him. But he's sure thinking about it.
Well, if he can't fly into either of those, if he's got to fly into the big airport, I'd get him. I'm not.
Well,
that'd ruin him. He'd never get
Oh shit. He'd get halfway to Young and call somebody and say, "I can't understand this son of a bitch. Somebody come get me. This is where I'm at."
Is there an app? Do the translator?
He's talking in weird accents. He's talking about hairy dogs. He's talking about this and that.
He's been working on his Russian dialect.
Yeah.
Hey, my hairy dogs didn't do bad this weekend. My little red pup kicked
That's
ass.
good. I seen that. I'm happy for you.
Yep. He was chasing some dude that picked him up.
Oh my golly, son! I freaked out. What'd
you do, Chris? Find some long-haired hippie on the side of the road?
No, that was me that picked him up. The dogs.
Yeah.
We're out in the middle of nowhere, and these two dogs run up, and I told my boys, hey, they ran up to my kid, and I said, grab those dogs, see what the name is. They're all Derek. I'm all, Derek Hall? He said, yeah. And they were kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I knew Derek, don't know that area so well. So I grabbed him up, kind of hung out, drove real slow. So he caught up to me.
Yeah.
Real fast.
I beat my truck to death catching up. They went down the road at about 30 miles an hour. I'm like, wait a minute now. They're in a pickup, and away we went.
There you go, Cody, man. If you're listening. There's an airstrip at the mesa above my house.
There you go. I would have if I'd have had Chris or Derek's dogs in my truck, and I'd have went for some round weird squirrels, going as fast down some of the weirdest back roads I could have, just to see if they could catch me.
Yeah, I know those roads, so I'm good to go.
I figured.
He lives at Mule Creek. Who's making those tie outs? Brian went out. They're just some stake tie outs with 5-foot chains on them.
They got a swivel on the top of the
Mhm.
deal, and they go around and around it.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
We're gonna set up a bunch for people's kids too.
There you go.
There it is.
I did all right. Dirty just getting old. You know, I had Sydney as kind of my Dirty has always been my rig dog, and I let him down and let him make sure it's what I want to chase. And if he kind of takes the track, I let my other dog down. It used to be Sydney, but she got cancered up. I put her down last year. And then Yucky got sick this year from something. And he was kind of my take it and go. Like, take it and go. So when you don't have a dog, Dirty will go. He's just old, slow. So the first one I rigged, Dirty took it, and I let Halado down, and he went 200 yards and like got hung up or something, then came back. I'm like, that's weird. And then I let another dog go. I think it was Cecilia, 200 yards, did some circle thing, came back. I'm like, what is going on? So I let Lucy down. You know, she's a little bit trashy, so she'll take whatever. 200 yards, came back. But she had a bloody ear, something like, I thought maybe he got on the barbed wire, maybe there was a fence, but I don't know. It was just weird they did that. So I ended up throwing him in, going around, catching Dirty. And I had Stinker up on top. I didn't have a collar for her. So she just had a regular collar on. But Dirty come across that road trailing, and she pulled out, she slipped her collar. So now I have no GPS and no phone number collar. And Dirty got hung up on this cliff. It was like 10-foot little, drop off. And he's like, getting like, what do I do? What do I do? You don't want to jump because he's old. You don't even want to jump back in my truck. Well, Stinker just comes flying past him and launches off it. I'm like, God dang it. And he says, and he dives off it. I'm like, oh, man. And they get into the worst canyons around. So I let some dogs go, Cruella, Halado, and they all just took the track. But Stinker she's always just kind of took those tracks and went. The problem with Stinker, she'll come back, but I kind of taught her to come back to stay by me a little bit. She's kind of a truck dog, but she didn't. She went. I seen her go up and over that ridge. And I said, "Damn it!" So I kind of knew where they said, and we went around. I get to where I can get in within 400 yards of them, and you can't hear them, but they're like four. They're just kind of. They're not treed, but they're not leaving a spot. So I walk in. I let all the dogs go. We got like 12 dogs. I let them. We just go. We walk in. Well, Dirty's walking back to me, which is weird because he won't leave a tree. I'm like, gosh, dang it. There's just nothing about this that's right. So we get up over the ridge, and there I am in my boulder slides. I didn't realize they were, yep. And, they don't tree in boulder slides. They try to get in there, and they're scattered. And these aren't like a rock slide. These are like pickup truck size boulders. So I ended up, I kind of went down there, and I just couldn't see what we were doing. And they were kind of in one area, and they probably got so many. I know there's a lion that cubs there most every year. And I ended up pulling them off, and I'm trying to get them up. Now I'm trying to get them up out of here because these are like 20, 30-foot boulders. So I'm getting them to an area. My son's calling them over, and I have my longbow and I have my quiver on the back, and I'm walking that edge, and my quiver kind of slid, and then my arrows fell out. So I'm like trying to catch my arrows, and one of them I didn't catch it. It went off so I lost an arrow. But I got him back. Oh, I got him back. Go back to truck to water him because it was a long race. And Dirty's like 200 yards away, so I yell at him, and he don't come. So I tone him, he don't come. The next thing I know, he's 400 yards headed back. And I actually buzz him. and he don't. I don't know if the collar just maybe didn't work or loose. I don't know. He ended up going all the way, and Stinker's not there. I don't know where Stinker is. Maybe down in the bottom. I don't know. I don't have a collar on it. So he goes all the way back to where I picked him up across the road there, and got back there. It took me 30 minutes to get him like 80 yards up the hill because there's just big deadfall and that big 10-foot cliff, and then Stinker finally showed up. Came back with him. I think she maybe down in that rock slide and seen him leaving and maybe left. So that was my first attempt. So
Well, it's tough when you're rigging. There's a difference between a dog that can rig a bear off the truck and a dog that can rig a bear and go find it and start it. You know,
yes.
you can have the box blow up where a bear or where they can smell it. When a bear crosses the road and they blow up, that's a different story. But when they rig this bear that the track is 200, 300, 400 yards off the road, a dog that you can drop and go the direction and make its way out there until it finds that track is something completely different than something that can strike one off the truck. And the dogs that can do both and do it well are special dogs. I mean, they're not like rare, but they're definitely, a lot less frequent than a dog that can rig a track and not start it. Some dogs can rig, you drop them and they run 20 feet, 30 feet, maybe even 50 yards, and they turn around and come back. They don't have it in them to go look for that track, whereas like some of these dogs, they'll rig, you drop them, and they'll kick it out to 400 yards before you hear him hit a track and open. And that's a whole different world as far as it comes to a rig dog.
Or they turn 11 and act like they're 15.
Yeah.
And he'll still take it. He'll still go. He's just not fast.
Yeah.
And I really seen his age this season already.
I think that has a lot to do with that.
It is. I mean, he don't want to jump in the back of the truck. And those big dogs don't typically make it to 15.
No, they break. How heavy is Dirty?
Listen, I thought he was a 60-pound dog until I had to lift him in the truck all weekend. I bet you he's pushing 70 pounds.
And that's what's
that big red one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably heavier than that.
He might be 80. I was Jeremy says 90. I don't know. I was actually gonna weigh him just because I tell you what happened too, and I hit a big rock and he flew off the truck almost back to camp. And I look in my rearview mirror and there's no Dirty. I look in my left mirror and he's hanging. So I jump out and I'm gonna tell you what, that dog was 150 pounds. And I thought I snapped his neck because he was doing this thing but what he was trying to do is
trying to climb up.
Kind of pinned, and he's so heavy he couldn't get his arms up. So when I pulled him back, he got his arms up, and I shoved him over. And Lyndon had jumped on the other side so he can grab him over. That's the first time in 11 years he's ever fell off the truck. So you know how you see that hero of yours and he kind of trips and stumbles, and you're like, damn, man, that guy used to jump boulders. So I don't know. It's kind of sad, but I just got to get my other dogs lined out now.
Yep. And it's hard. I mean, and you talk to a lot of these guys that have bred their own dogs throughout the years. And back in the day, I mean, early days, people loved the big, houndy, slobbermouth, long ears, droopy dogs that were 70 to 100 pounds. That was the classic. That was the classic hound way back before I was even in diapers. Like it. But nowadays, a lot of these guys that are running dogs that are, and it can be an out east thing or an out west thing, doesn't matter. A lot of these dogs that are hunting a lot of miles every year, the smaller dogs tend to last longer than the bigger dogs. They start to break down, their joints start to go out. It's harder. They're just heavier. They can't last the years, like a small dog that's 10 years, 11 years old could still be moving pretty dang good compared, a 40, 50-pound dog compared to an 80-pound dog. They're going to move different at 11 years old.
Yeah, I like a racier build too. That racier style of body is a lot easier on the everything, like you're saying, the joints coming off, especially if you're hunting in boulder country. It's God, it's so nice to have a small light dog. Even that Beagle cross that I had, that dog was, I thought it would have a harder time with those tiny little legs getting through the rocks, and through
they're
them better
wiry.
than most. Yeah, they did really great. Yeah, it was incredible.
Dirty's my last big dog. Like Derek's seen him.
Yep.
You know,
It don't look like, I can't imagine how they came out of that big monster. Like, I was like, what? Because they're small. Yeah, they're small. They're tight built. They're speed built. And then this big old clod hopping thing over there is their daddy. It don't make any sense.
So the rest of my dogs are small. Well, medium. Couple small ones.
It's funny, Dustin was talking about the with rig dogs and like going out to find a track and stuff. Back even further, I wouldn't say back further, but like 40 years ago, a guy I used to work for, he talked about when they were first getting into dog hunting, they didn't have a dog that could rig a track. They didn't have a dog that could rig a bear. There wasn't really dogs out there that you could just buy that could rig a bear. You had to make your own rig dog. So they used to hang bear hides. They'd go kill a bear, and they'd go hang bear hides on the tree, 100 yards off the road early in the morning, and then they'd go out, go back, go get the dogs, and drive out and drive past that. And they'd wait to, see which dog. They'd park there for a minute, see which dog would, smell it. And as soon as they start smelling it, pet them up, pet them up, pet them up. And eventually they did that enough that breeding that dog that eventually figured that out, they were breeding dogs that could rig a bear. It's like, that's just incredible.
There's dogs that it is very, very natural to, and some dogs that learn it. But the ones that are natural are hard to beat. Some dogs, even as pups, you'll get some that will rig any and everything out of the box that just stinks. It doesn't matter if it's a porcupine. Had to throw that in there. An elk. I'll let Brandon expound on that. Anyway.
Hey, I've rigged porcupines, man.
I got pictures today. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
But like some young pups just have it in them, and some don't. But that doesn't mean that dogs won't develop it later and blow your mind away as a 2-year-old.
Yep.
Yep. I got a little of that now. All my dogs are young. Like say my 2 females turned 2 on opening day. That was their second birthday. And that one is just in the front, just rock starring it now. It was just crazy. I did not, she was kind of the last year. And then now she's just, we put down on one, and it was we was wind rigging all day. We'd get rigs and couldn't find them. And we cut a track, and it was a day old. We put on it. Nobody's taking it anywhere. And then, they're all going every way. And she blows in there 200-300 yards, up the trail, and it opens up just and takes her away. My little red dog right behind her, And they got that bear up. It was a good deal. That was a good bear, too. We ground fought that joker for a long time before he jumped tree on us and then got on the res. But that was a good one. That wasn't the one we caught, obviously, but that was a good one. Yeah, we did pretty good. Run 4, caught 2. I wasn't mad about that. Caught one right over on Juan Garcia, like right on the edge of the res. That was a scary one because we couldn't cut him off. But it's a pretty good deal. I was plumb happy. This joker right here, though, thinks he is. I hunted him in the dirt too much, I guess, because he will not cast to dogs. He don't trust them. Won't go in there. Don't care what they're barking at. He just trails his tail off. All the crap I talked about slow dogs, and my fastest dog is my slowest dog now. He just grubs the track out all the way to there. It's ridiculous. He come home with a raw nose.
You don't know English. You only know there's no Russian bears up there.
Them dogs weren't speaking the right language. They were speaking American. You need to teach them to speak Russian.
That's what my buddy said. He said he needs to teach his dog to speak Russian, so my dogs will go in there too.
Yep. So I mean, for the first weekend, and August is just kind of I call it the training season, anyways, to kind of line them out. My dogs are really out of shape.
Yeah, me too.
As far as Dirty being 11 and out of shape, man, he dumped down some big canyons up and down, and then he went back. The only thing that scared me is he didn't have no water. I was watering the dogs. He didn't even come to the truck and get water. I'm like, damn, man, it's like 80 degrees. It got pretty warm up there, huh, Derek? Like,
yeah, it did.
11, 10 or 12 o'clock, but
we was cutting her down at lunch.
And it just
were you finding bears in places you normally find them, or did you have to go around a little bit?
Those bears are so today I went and released a bear, and if you hunt the houses, you'll probably get more bear because there's nothing out there. There's no water out there. There's nothing out there. So I released. I know. So I release it. We're going out to release a bear today, way out, and running down the road, and I'm in flats. I mean, there's nothing there, and I'm in windmills. And in the road, there's this cow. And I looked up and seen that cow. My son goes, holy shit, that's a bear. Big old bear just wandering out in the junipers.
It was a good bear, too.
That was a good bear. And you can see when he's running away and you see his pads. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you sent me the video. It looked like a decent bear.
It was a fat, hairy bear. And that's what's weird. A lot of small bears. There's a lot of small bears. But I think your small bears that are 2 years old that have just been dumped this year, they're really scrounging because the big smart bears are sitting down in the canyon next to the water puddle where there might be a couple shrooms popping up. There's just no water. It's really tough.
I think it's bugs. I think they're eating bugs. I think that's what it's going after.
I think they're turning logs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think those fat bears at this time of the season, most of the time they're eating carrion, livestock, whatever they can find. They're meat eaters.
Yep. Well, that's that bear that was in the middle of nowhere where I've hunted where we took them before. And I've never seen, I wouldn't even think if I come across that spot and Dirty rigged, I'd be like, what are you doing? I always kind of check for tracks if he rigs, and I can always tell Dirty. He got to a point a few years back, he smartened up to get off the truck. He'd rig a little bit. But I found out which rig that was. He's like, I went down, bar, and I'm like, no. He'll lean back on his chain, and I know when it's a good rig and when he's going to take it. But Dirty was my dog and his dad was my dog. And he was a big blue tick. Same thing. He hunted the same thing. Oh, what happened there? And Dirty was that dog that would truck the tree. I mean, that dog did it. And then when I went down to the desert, he had his head up for a while. And then once he figured out we're back in the dirt, he was back down. The problem is the first weekend's back up here. He will rig it, but he will cold trail that sucker. He will trail it. And he's too slow to run it fast. But he will trail it forever. I mean, forever. He will not. I have to stop him. You
gotta use them more for, like, in my opinion, because obviously we've all had older dogs and stuff, is use them more for the attributes that your younger dogs are failing in, and don't expect them to be at the head of the race anymore.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But he will. Last year, my dad had started a bear. He was on another spot. I come in, and I hear a dog. I'm like, what is that? And so this dog comes trailing in, and I hadn't even really got to that spot, so it's not like I could rig it. And here comes my dad up the road, 100 miles an hour. He goes, hey, it's a bear. And I said, how you know it's a bear? He goes, I seen it. It was standing there. Like the dog looked over and seen it. So I said, all right. So I let Dirty down, and I let Ben and Bella down. Dirty went and took the track and went. And, man, I love GPS. Everybody's like, oh, safety. No, GPS will teach you that your dog, for one, Dirty's dad when I first got my GPS, went out, came back on the same track. And I learned then that they just trail themselves back. You know what I mean? So they trail themselves back. Dirty, same thing this weekend. Went out, we did our thing, trailed themselves back. Those dogs, so Dirty went straight line. Well, the young dogs who don't know how to run a circle on a bear would go that and do that little circle. Because, you know, when bears will run a circle and then take off, run a circle.
Yeah.
And I could see where that bear did that every time with my young dogs. And there's Dirty. Dirty's like, nope. This dog ran, it was about on his third or fourth mile, and he's still going. I'm, you know, you're hauling ass trying to cut him off. I get to a field. I look over, and I hear him coming. I'm on the GPS. I look, and I hear him. I'm all, man, what is he doing? So I'm like, here comes the elk or deer. I don't know what he's doing. Sure shit. Here comes the bear running. And he was right behind it, and I had cut him off. So I'm yelling. I'm like, oh, there's the bear. Let the dogs out. You know, and that bear heard me and turned around and ran back. And here comes Dirty. So they're running at each other, and that bear said up a tree and then realized, oh, that's only one dog. Went to come down. When he went to come down, there was already about 6, 7 dogs at the tree. But he'll take that track and he'll go. And I just, Yucky was my next one. So it really kind of hurt me. It really kind of hurt me. And I have Halado. He's young. I have my other dogs, but they're not the truck the tree dog. And when like Dustin said, when you get used to that, I'm spoiled. I haven't had the trained dogs. There's Dirty. He'll take him to the bear every time. And I got Vaca, but she's 8 years old. 9. I was thinking about it. She might be 10 also, you know, and they both ran the bear, but they both are old dogs. So,
yeah, it's a tricky deal. Whether they're old or whether they're young, you get them holes. You know what I mean? Like the weird bits.
Especially, and nothing against it, but unless you're one of these guys that can feed 10 to 15 dogs and keep a couple each year of age and let them keep working through that. Some guys can't. You know, they only can have 8 dogs. And you have an 11-year-old dog, an 8-year-old dog, and then you got a gap where some dogs have passed or got killed or whatever, and then you're down to like 4 2-year-olds and a yearling.
And you're back to 0.
Yeah, and if one of those old dogs passes, like Chris is saying, like he's got something, but he has that gap that he's trying to fill, and sometimes you're shit out of luck and you're back to square 0, and you just have to go put in the boot work and figure it out, or go a different route, and that's a thing that you get some of these guys that have a really good, well-working pack, and then all of a sudden something happens on a nasty bear or a nasty lion. They lose 2 dogs, and they're like, "Oh shit, what do I do now?" Like it's hard if you're not one of these guys that can afford to hunt 5 days a week and have 20 to 30 dogs that consistently supply and keep growing and growing. It's hard when you suffer some of these losses like that. Man, it can take you years to recover, not just months, years.
Yeah.
Yucky was my gap filler.
Yeah.
He was 5 years old. He was doing great. I got 4-year-olds. I got 3-year-olds. I got 2-year-olds, and I got year-olds.
Yeah. You lost the next pup trainer before the pup trainer passed.
Yep.
So, how on earth is it possible to have hunting hounds and have 5?
And have
if
5?
you're a weekend warrior and you hunt with other people, Benny,
or you buy them.
That's about the way. Yeah, you could buy some nice dogs, buy finished dogs, and go catch what you need to for sure. But if they're only hunting 2 days a week, dogs aren't going to get sore. They're not going to get played out. I can see that. But I'm with you, Benny. I mean, you're from a different generation that just wasn't a thing. 10 dogs was normal for everyone back then, right? 10 dogs
18.
was. Yeah,
18.
I mean, 10 dogs was the guy that wasn't feeding enough, right?
Yeah,
So,
and he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough young ones coming up.
Yeah, exactly. But
so
I knew the guy.
I'm running 5. I'm just running 5, and
but
you just got to suffer.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Derek, and this isn't a poke. This isn't a what. How many days a week do you hunt during season?
Two or three. I can't hunt no
Exactly.
more than that. My dogs get smoked. Yeah.
And five dogs can hunt 2 to 3 days. When
Yeah,
you're
and
hunting
then
5 days, you're riding and you're hunting 10 to 15 miles a day. That ain't gonna get you
you
nowhere.
can't do it. They'll
No,
be
you're gonna be
smoked.
smoked.
Yeah.
You
Well,
gotta have 18, like Benny's saying. You'll hunt the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
8 for 2 or 3 days, then you're gonna rotate, and then you're gonna rotate again, and you just keep going.
yeah. Like
yeah,
say if
there's a
you're
Most
big
of
running,
the time, like I hunted, you had basically two packs, and
Yeah.
you alternated where you threw young dogs in, and you switched dogs every single day.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you hunt your A pack on Monday, you hunt your B pack on Tuesday, and if you have young dogs, if they can do it, they go both days.
Yep.
Yep. No, I get it. I've seen it both ways. It's just definitely nowadays where there's, and I hate to use the word, but like the weekend warriors or the hobby hunters versus the full time guys definitely get by with a little bit different, scenario as far as what kind of dogs they have and how many dogs they have, but also 3 guys can get together that can only hunt 3 days a week and they all can have 3 dogs and they have a pack of 9, 12 dogs that they can turn and burn and go
Yeah.
from there.
And that's
Where
that's kind of where I'm doing because for one, I don't even have I can't afford more dogs. I don't got space for them. Like I don't got no job. I could have stayed up there and hunted all week, but everything I have except for little red dog was all smoked. He was the only one that was ready, and he can't do nothing by himself. Get in there and jump one maybe, and then get himself in trouble. That's it. So
Yep.
what I do is like what I'm gonna do this year is like my buddy's got 6 dogs, but he can't hardly hunt. So I just hunt his, which that's why I did that last year too. I hunted his quite a bit last year, and so now I got 10 or 11 instead of just 5, and I can hunt a lot more that way. And
No.
that way we can split that feed bill, so he doesn't have to house 12 dogs, 10 dogs, and I don't got to house 10 or 12 dogs. You know what I mean? We can,
Yep.
and
But
I still can't hunt 6 days a week, but 7 days a week. But I can get a lot more done that way, and then the dogs get plenty of time on the ground.
another
No.
part of that equation, though, if you're going to hunt with somebody else, you got to mix packs. You need to hunt with somebody, that same person, and those same dogs, so that you have one pack that is parted in their housing, but there's still one working pack.
Yeah,
Otherwise, all you're going to do is create a damn nightmare and a wreck, and
yeah,
you'll find out how many coyotes there are in the country.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It,
That's
it
why I
definitely
just hunt with
happens.
the same boys' dogs. They like my dogs grew up with them. They know each other. Neither one of us are
Yeah.
getting new stuff real regular. So like when I put them in like this dog is one of his, and that's one of mine, and they know each other. They get along real well. They work pretty good together. But other than this Joker won't trust anybody. But other than that, they work pretty good.
Well,
And it's
well, an
just
independent dog versus a dog that doesn't get along is a different story.
yeah,
An
yeah,
independent dog is an independent dog. You'll get that with with anyone's dogs. You'll have someone that can be an independent dog, but an independent dog versus an asshole is
yeah, yeah,
very, very different. Like Benny's saying, if you have a prick that doesn't get along with a lot of people and you keep mixing him with new dogs, that's just going to cause chaos. It's going to cause problems and not going to go from there. But dogs that know each other, that's a different story.
yeah. He's got one growly one. She don't really like nobody, even her kennel mates. But the only problem that ain't no big deal really, because if she gets too mad, she'll just quit. So she can
Yeah.
quit, but everybody, what I mean, I'd rather it that way than her start a problem, which is
Yep.
fine. She don't start fights. She'll face bark a little in the box maybe, but if she gets aggravated with the young dog, she'll just go back to the truck, and then
No.
by that point they're usually well on their way, so it's all right.
No, and I get it. When I first got into dogs, I was very, very similar to kind of the situation that Derek is in. I only had 2 or 3 dogs, but I was friends and hunted a lot with 3 other guys that had 2 or 3 dogs. So when we were hunting lions up in snow country, we could go with each other all the time, kick out dogs because they got hunted consistently together all the time, whether it was lions or coons. we were consistently together because it was never just one of us going by ourselves. When we would hunt bears, we'd all band together, have 10 or 12 dogs, and go from there. But as I got more into it and worked my life to where I had more time for myself and everything, I started to bring in more dogs because I didn't want to start mixing it. I wanted to just have my own dogs, catch my own thing, and not have to worry about if this guy can't go hunt bears, I can't go. Or if this guy can't
Yeah.
go hunt lions, I can't go. So I very much dug in, made it to where I could do it, and eventually I had 15, 16 dogs, and that's where it ended up before
Yeah.
I ended up doing what I'm doing now. But
Yeah.
You
I
know,
want
I got a
to
question for
address
you
that
guys.
question, right?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
yeah, I want to go to that too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, guys.
So
What do you,
Hey,
that deal there, I raced sled dogs for a lot of years before I moved here. The first thing is that the hound was never born that has the endurance ability of a sled dog. That is just a different thing.
that's the
It's
first thing
not.
I thought.
Yeah,
Different
a
dog.
hound. No hound in this whole world could ever trot on with a sled dog for no 1,000 miles. It's not. They will die. They can't. And then the other thing to think about is you're thinking about a distance dog that's going to trot at 7, 8 miles, 6 miles an hour all day long for days and days. Our dogs aren't doing that. They're sprinting. They get a bear jump, they're running just as hard as they can run, fighting a several 100-pound animal, jumping up and down and over and all this wildness. There's no trails. Sled dogs ain't climbing up bluffs and running
There's a lot more calories
hard out.
burned in the brain too. You have to remember that
Yep.
a hound has to use so much calories up here throughout a day, consistently burning brain calories throughout the day because they're having to think of every step and find where something went. Whereas a sled dog, I mean, obviously that lead dog in a sled pack is using more brain power, but they're kind of directionally put and told when to go which one way and told when to go
Yep.
which other. A hound dog has to is burning its calories thinking for itself all day long, consistently throughout that day. And there is an insane amount of studies, if you look into it, how much calories you will burn from just sitting there thinking hard all day long versus
No wonder I'm
running
fat.
physically.
and you gotta think about the conditions too.
Yeah, and they're putting on miles well and correct. Yeah, and the conditions. Not to say that snow isn't hard on an animal's body, but rock is a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah, if you
Well-
think about it, I don't know who crazy is or if they run sled dogs. If you get a dry stretch of trail, it don't take very much dry trail to blow your feet. Or ice, you got to wear booties. You go barefoot on ice or get on some dry, you're gonna blow every pad in your team. These guys are running on the worst foot conditions you can run on. They're going some shale, rock, sand, dirt, maybe mud if they're lucky. You're going to blow feet. You're going to smoke muscles. It's just a much more difficult thing with a dog, much more physically demanding in a short period of time, where a dog that has just not got the bottom in the first place. You know what I mean? It's just not
and I may have missed this where I was out of my phone keeps kicking me out, and I could be wrong. You can correct me, but sled dogs, they're typically not diving 300 feet straight down into a canyon, coming straight back up, working their way through rocks and bullshit on their way out. I mean, I know they do their up and downs, but it's not some of the nasty up and downs that some of these hounds are following these bears or lions. I mean, when a bear or lion knows they're being followed, if they can get to a shithole and go through the roughest piece of shit they can, they're gonna do it.
Yep.
Whereas if you're in a sled dog team, that guy ain't gonna dive his dogs into a canyon that's a 45-degree angle down. It's you're going across country, up and down rolling hills, right?
And 99% of the time you're on a manicured trail. Very rarely that you're not. These dogs are running through places you couldn't take a sled. And and like he says, when a bear's being chased or a lion's being chased and they know it, these bears, that's always the joke. They'll pick the biggest tree on the mountain and the shittiest place they can find, and that's where you'll catch them. And
But I do agree. I do agree with the more fat. I do agree. I love getting my dogs fat. Like all my elk trimmings, everything, I handful. If I'm really running hard, there was a guy we were talking about. It wasn't 40 years ago. there was a old outfitter ran dogs, and so all he fed his dogs was restaurant scraps, like a pig.
Mm.
I used to have pigs, and I used to have a Mexican restaurant that would scrape all their plates, put all their stuff in it. And I'm telling you, you dig out briskets, you dig out just chunks of meat. People don't eat their steak. And man, I fed my dogs that. I was feeding old Roy. So all I needed was a filler because they were getting meat, But I do agree with the fat. I think some people just feed dog food. And I notice when I feed them a handful of meat with my fat that they sure perk up. And endurance, I don't think we were like whining about endurance. I have an 11-year-old dog.
Yeah, that's a different story.
He's allowed to slow down. It just hurts my feelings is all it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the old timers, I mean, they would go buy straight fat scraps that are just like the stuff that they scrape off, and they'd freeze it, and they'll just throw a chunk of frozen fat to these dogs and let them gnaw on it, and man, that helps. Huge.
That's what with dog teams, you'll get salmon from the hatchery, just whole salmon, freeze them and cut them up in chunks about like that. And they're getting that, like my dog team stopped every 2 hours, no matter how far we went. Every 2 hours we stopped for snack. That's just the deal that we make. And
well, there's another right there, Derek.
Yeah.
How many people do that feeding? Do you carry dog food, or like I carry oysters and sardines. So when we run and we get to a spot and I'll feed them. But how many people actually stop, feed their dog in the middle of a chase? You don't get to.
No, you can't do that.
You get these bears that are a walking nasty mean sucker. These dogs are not going to stop walking this bear 8 miles in to turn around and come get a snack from you and then go back and walk this bear. No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brandon did. Look at Brandon.
Yeah.
It's just a
I
different.
tell you what, I have never seen anybody that eats as much as this man and not gain
skinny
pounds.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
What's the trick? Because I don't hardly eat nothing. I'm fat as a house. I can't figure it out.
Oh, I tell you what, it's
metabolism.
This guy's bringing
like
up some good points, because those guys that run them sled dogs really do keep an eye on that diet and their protein and their calories, whereas we feed our dogs once a day. So when I'm running hard, I feed them. If I come back at lunch, I feed them.
Yeah.
And then at night, I feed them. Because if you don't,
and I'm not saying any one of us could honestly be better at nutrition and tracking and really figure it out. But I'm also going to make a good generalization here that most of us don't do that. We just feed and we go hunt. Like,
I will say something though. And when it comes to a dog's digestive system works on a 24-hour clock. And that's how it helps heal itself. Us as humans, we look at, what do you eat 3 times a day? So a dog needs to eat 3 times a day. The way that they expend calories, they are the most, I can't remember the exact terminology, but they expend the least amount of calories to the most amount of energy out of any other animal. Yeah. So people wonder why you feed your dogs only 2.5 cups a day. That's crazy. Well, yeah, because that dog only needs that much calories to last a 24-hour cycle. Yes, if you're hunting them hard, you need to supplement them more. But I believe more in feeding pre-hand. Feed more the night before you go out. Give your dogs extra water. Soak the feed in water. Give them some extra fat. I'm very lucky. The local butcher here, he makes these little meat packs. They got, they're kind of a variant of meat, organ, bone, fat, all the tissue, everything that's, meant to be mixed in. And they make them in little sleeves. They're like 1 pound sleeves for $2.50. And I go and I just get 100 pounds of that before the season starts. And I break them in half. And when we're going hard, every night, dog gets, that with its food. And the way that, because of the, you hear about those things about dogs turning a gut and stuff like that. That's generally from all the things that I've read, is that their stomach is holding too much weight and too much food, watered down, something like that. Then that allows it to flip. It doesn't just flip on an empty, stomach as it's digesting through. But that's just, personal opinions anyways. They're for what you take it. But yeah, that's just I know that the dog process on 24 hours. So.
For a sled dog, guys, you have to equate what we're doing to a sprint racer.
Yeah.
So sprint racers do not feed in the middle of the heat. They do not feed before a heat because of the dangers that he just brought up. If we fed our dogs before we hunted them all the time, we're asking for trouble. You got to give them that digestive time. They'll at the very least, they'll run like crap if they're plot full of food. I mean, imagine that's not all different than us. Imagine you eat a whole dinner and then go run a race, a foot race. You know, it'd be puking.
You're blowing chunks. Oh
yeah. It's and the dogs are no different from that. You know, this is not. They can't equate it to distance running. It's definitely like a sprint race, but with way worse areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very much so. I agree.
Yep.
You know, and everyone, that's the hard part, is food and nutrition and what you feed and when you feed and how you feed varies so much from person to person. And it also varies from line to line. You know, honestly, I will say that some of these dogs nowadays probably last a little longer, but back in the day, some of those dogs were tougher than shit, and these dogs just ain't that tough. Like, I mean, and even then, you'll have a dog now that is just tough no matter what you throw at them, and you have some dogs, no matter their ability, they just ain't that tough.
Yep. And I'll make a gross generalization. Last time I compared the two dogs, I will say that a hound is generally significantly tougher and easier to keep than any sled dog I've ever seen. With a sled dog, you got to watch that diet perfect. You got to adjust your psyllium levels because they don't have good poops. If the wind blows from the east, you know, their tummies get upset. And you know, whatever. Like it's a finicky thing that you have to keep a hard track on. Like I cooked my dog's dinner every day.
Yeah.
Because that's what I had to do.
Ask any vet what the toughest dog is in the world, and they'll tell you a hound every time.
Yeah, 100%.
I bring my hounds in, and I bring them in with certain things, you know, going on, whatever it may be, and they go, well, if it wasn't a hound, I'd be worried, you know, and it's like, you know, they are built for tough, you know, like it is.
You know, and I can't speak to sled dogs, but there's multiple stories, people I know very close that they've watched a dog. I mean, I don't do my podcast a whole lot. I do it when I feel like it. But when I interviewed McLean Meekum, he had a dog that got knocked off of a 45-degree log. A lion knocked him off, fell down, landed on an uprooted tree root. That root went right through that dog, up through his back, came out his belly, and he was stuck there. Just couldn't move. That root was through his body. He was stuck there. They pulled him off of it, and McLean goes, I figured that dog was going to die. They laid him down, tried to wipe blood off of him. He bounced right back up and went to treeing. Like nothing had happened while he's still squirting blood. And they finally wrapped him up, got him back to the house, and nursed him back to health, and he was fine later on. But how many of us are going to get impaled by a stick, get pulled off of that stick, wiped off, and turn around and go back to work? Hell no, I'm gonna milk that shit for all it's worth.
You walk through a locust. You can walk through a locust bush and you're whining for 3 days.
Oh yeah. I touched some cholla with my butt cheek and I'm done for a week.
Jared would be the one to get. He'd go back to work right after. He'd go back to paving.
Well, I think if you eat enough old ramen and Spam, it just makes you a little special.
Thicker blood.
All right, guys, let me get back to my question. And
let's go for
talking about mixing these dogs. And Dustin, you've probably had a lot of the experience in this. I'm curious, when you mix dogs that are genetically familiar, they don't have to be raised together and all of that. Do you see any dogs that get along easier just because they look at the tree and say, hey, we must be kin?
Yeah,
they just
definitely
work good together, period.
I think dogs from the same lines. I mean, yeah, you always can have a chance that one dog's just a dick and an asshole.
Well, they're individuals at the same time.
Yeah, but I definitely agree that dogs that come from the same line, mix a little better than if I was to take my dogs and go mix with someone from back east that's running straight blue ticks or straight plots from back there. They work different. The cohesion's different. You know, if you're running dogs from the same line, they kind of work the same. I mean, yes, every dog's individual, but they kind of work the same. They kind of flow the same. You know, like it just, yeah. From my experience, I think that's a very valid point that genetic dogs that are along the same lines definitely, I think, make that transition easier than dogs that aren't. But you also have some of these dogs that are just very easygoing lines that probably could mesh with anyone and be just fine. But yeah, I think, you know, to Benny's point, I think something, you know, comes from the same genetics. They definitely mesh and work together a little better than if not.
Because I've been exposed to dogs that were genetically similar, you know, familiar and all of that, but they had never been around each other. And you bring them in, and after they get all the butt licking and everything done, they seem to get along okay. And there
Yeah,
can be, especially with the males, there's a little posturing here and there, but generally speaking, I've just seen that they mesh easier.
well, I mean, for lack of better words, and you know, when I can get my
Ah, damn it. Someone called him. Someone called him.
His wife wants to know when he's coming home.
Where you at? I see where you. He'll be back.
Yeah, I think there is something to that, and coming from where I come from, I didn't see so much of issues because everybody's dogs kind of have to get along when you're dealing with like coonhounds because fighting gets you scratched, so those dogs don't get bred, so there's not too much issues, but but I'd say there probably is something to that because you see it some with like plots, you know, they tend to get along better with other plots than, you know, you start throwing some funny dogs in there, they're more likely to have a row.
Depends on, I think, on how they're raised too. You know, like and like if they've got, you know, depending on the breeding too. But if you're just talking as a straight hound, you know, most of the time, I think it definitely helps to have a closer bred dog to another dog in order to understand the behaviors of what's going to get along and what's not. You know, so I definitely would agree with that. Even actually, I had a couple dogs that I hunted with a buddy, and we didn't even realize it, that he had owned the dad and grandpa to a couple of my dogs, and they got along great from the first time that they were out of the box after, like Benny said, after the butt licking was done, and we got to hunting. They were hunting just as, you know, they had been hunting together their whole lives and kind of responded better to each other and acted, I guess maybe because attributes are so similar that they probably allowed them to hunt so well together too.
Yeah. I think there is probably something to that, like the problems I have with my overly independent stuff. That's just in the breeding that I've got. And if I had dogs that were all bred the same, kind of similar, I wouldn't have that issue because those dogs aren't that way. So that's definitely a thing. I was thinking more about like dogs not getting along, which I haven't seen a ton of that, but yeah, like they don't work super good together. Like this guy, just don't trust he's gonna figure it out himself, or he's not gonna figure it out at all, and he'll walk away from them, you know, trailing because he don't care to go see what they're trailing if he, you know.
I had 12 dogs in my box, so they have to get along.
Yeah,
they have to. And then every once in a while, you're gonna have. I had a bitch in heat. She just came out, and I threw her in, and her sister got in a couple little scraps. You know, just I think when Brandon showed up to the hound trials, I wasn't going to unload my dogs. We were leaving. We got back. You know, they have water in there. I didn't want to unload them. I had to pull everything, and then they had a little scrap in there. What causes it? I don't know. They don't fight the whole time. And then all of a sudden, you know, they fight more, I think, when they're trying to settle in and everything's over with, and they're trying to find their spot in the truck or somewhere, and then someone steps on somebody, just like a human being. But
just like a don't touch me thing.
Yeah, yep. You know, Dirty's 11 years old. He sits in the corner, and he has you could take your arm and do this, and there's no dog by him.
Yeah.
They go by him, boo! I'm like, God dang, Dirty, come on. You know, but they have to get along. But I
Well-
think, and I got different dogs. I got Brett Vaughn's dogs in there. I got that Beagle in there. I think you have to pay attention to your dogs too.
Yep.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to. So when you bring a new dog in and they start ruffling up, you got to get on them right then and be like, "Nay,
Yep.
nope, not going to happen."
I had a kid with me this past weekend, never hunted with dogs before, riding in my truck, a little 20-year-old boy. And I was trying to teach him about the micro gestures, like the little movements before the movement, dog sense. I don't know if you can teach that, but I was trying,
Well, you can
But
show them.
yeah, you can show them, and that's a huge thing that most people don't understand is that you can know what your dog's going to do before they do it, based on those little micro gestures or micro whatever expressions, however you want to word it, like the precursor to the thing.
Well, I know when
Well
I
said.
first
It's
Answer
Go
that
ahead,
question
Brandon.
real quick. How long have you had hounds?
going on 20 years.
you
Oh.
old son of a butt.
I getting close. I got my first dog right before I turned 19, so I'm getting real close to 20 years. So.
Yep. Goes by quick. I
It
started
does.
in the 90s, and I had a dude give me a whole bunch of good dogs, and I got a divorce, and I got rid of a whole bunch of good dogs, gave them right back, and I took a break. And then in 2005, I got some puppies, and I started all over. So everything I
happens.
have is from those two dogs I got in 2005 is everything I have now. But I like to have my own stuff. Like it's my line. Is it good? I don't know. Does me good. We've talked about that 100 times.
Yeah.
But even my dad has dogs out of my dogs and puppies, and he'll be like, "You want a puppy?" And I'm like, even though it's my line, it's not my dog's.
Yep.
And then,
It's
so I took a
different.
puppy because he had an old dog out of an old line, and that dang dog, of course, got parvo. Not Jared's red bone looking dog that I want to kick. No, the dog that I wanted. So
Well, yeah. I mean, it just goes like say but you can also have dogs from the same genetics that don't get along. Dogs from completely different ones that do, but you definitely have those that tend to get along better than others, and just is what it is.
I have a terrier that I had a brother of his, and they, unless they were hunting, they were mortal enemies. They hated each other. I mean, you couldn't. I had to have them on each side of the box separate. As soon as you put them on the ground, everything was fine. They'd go in, fight a bear together. As soon as that was over and the adrenaline was done, it's like they were right back to hating each other.
Well, it's just, I mean, and before I cut out last time, I'll make a poke at the back east guy here. I mean, it's just like when they go to family reunions, everyone chests up a little, but at the end, they all like each other, they all get along, and they all go to the bar after.
I wanted to go. I wanted to go on that one about cousins, but I'll leave it.
The old cousins,
Yeah.
something like that. But it's just different, and some of it can be dog specific, some of it can be handler specific on how they're raised, and what even if Benny and I have the same genetic lines of dogs, get dogs from the same people, or I buy puppies from Benny buys puppies from me, how I raise and handle my dogs compared to how Benny raises and handle his dogs is also going to go into effect on how our dogs will mesh when we hunt together.
I also see the difference when you're even good lion dogs when they're hunting bear. They get so wound up like on a hot bear track that sometimes a dog that normally won't fight might fight because it's just so damn wound up. Like if you're hunting out of the truck and out of the box and there's a good hard rig like that bear, that's a hot track. And
Oh yeah, box shaker.
Just racking the box. And sometimes you'll get a fight in that sucker because they're just so wound up that they want to get out and do their damn job. And anything that touches them is now an enemy of the world, And
like
so
a dog at the tree, right? Biting at another tree, trying to break the
Right.
tree down.
Yep.
Face barking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Or they
'cause
do
they're
the
so
jump
young.
and fall on somebody, and it just
Yeah.
starts a fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't get that same type of reaction when I'm out like dry ground lion hunting. I don't get the dogs, they're not wound up that way. They're a lot more calm. They're a lot more, which I appreciate more. I kind of like that more of that calculated, using their brain type of hunt versus a blowout bear race, where they're just taking off from the box and go and put that sucker up in, 3/4 of a mile or something. It's fun. It really is fun, but I think
Yeah.
it's just you have sometimes depending on what you're hunting can cause some problems as well. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely more aggressive in bear
Yeah.
hunting.
yeah,
But
I
they're
will
thinking, like you
say,
said, they're burning their calories thinking. Those
Yeah.
dogs are trying to find that track and keep it going. They're not paying attention to the other dog. Not
Yeah.
like at a bear, in the box or
Mhm.
I will say these little jokers had their Nikes on last weekend. Everything was just running, man. I
Yep.
mean, bears run, but
A
crime.
little
I never
bear.
seen so. Yeah, I never seen so much. Well, even the big one that they ground fought that joker for miles, man. And we tried to get around there and cut him off, and they'd put him up, and he'd jump, and he run. That was a 14-mile race, and that's I thought we had that joker done. I thought he would never want to get out of that first thicket. We packed him in there hard, and he just
The
gone.
ones that have been run by dogs before then understand if they just keep going and they get to this, a magic line,
Yeah,
and then they get pulled off. They're not stupid. You know what I mean? They're not. They know for sure. If I
Yeah.
get to this magic line, all of a sudden it cuts off. Same thing happened when I lived in North Idaho. We hunted where our area was went up to the Montana border, and those bears knew if they got to that Montana border, they were safe. And there
that's
was
the reservation here.
Yep,
every
yep.
year we would get one shot. There's this monster red boar that was in there. I mean, huge, big pie plate feet, biggest bear that anybody in that area has ever seen. A couple people got eyes on it, kind of deal. But he'd give us one shot off the bait in the morning. We'd run him off the bait, and he'd start coming in about midnight. He'd start working his way till about 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and then finally he'd be there about 10 minutes before daylight, where you knew he was going to end. Like once he was in there, he'd be the only bear hitting that bait. That was extra big. We'd turn loose on that sucker, and he'd hit this nasty canyon, and he'd just walk the dogs. And it was one of those canyons that's not easy to get into. If you don't get ahead of that bear at the right spot and come in on him, and he beats you across, good luck getting them the rest of the day, because by the time you get back up to your truck, get back up the road, and can get to a spot where you can get down to him again, he's going to have you beat to Montana. And it happened every single year. We could just never put enough, and he wouldn't tree. He just walk it out. You could put as much heat on him as you could, and we had, try to pull all the stops. And maybe we just didn't have dogs that were good enough to do it, but neither did anybody else, because nobody else caught him ever. And so it was just one of those bears that when they learn what to do, where to go, and how to get the hell away, they see you later. Good luck catching them.
I never even thought of that. Because that's something I'm not used to. That's a totally new thing, hunting with that res there. And it never occurred to me that the bear could figure out if I get past this mountain, I'm in the clear. And that makes sense, because they ground fought that joker, walked him for a long ways. We was able to get around and get the real heat on him, and he treated him like, oh, it's done. He ain't coming out. He just packed the whooping. He's good now. So we get around there, quick, but we weren't exactly blowing out the tie rods getting around there, We get around there, and we get back into signal because we lost them going around. And we get back in signal, and he's jumped, and away they go. And we just cut dogs off before they went on the res, They just, I thought for
Everywhere,
sure. And that was a
and
good
that
bear. It's the only good bear track we saw all weekend. Not a big bear, probably just 300-pound bear, It's a nice track. And, but
all them bears in that whole unit along that whole side all run south.
yeah.
None of them hardly out of 100 bears, I've had maybe 2 or 3 actually run north.
Mhm.
But they know they can get to that res, and some of them roads are only about 80 yards off the res, and I try not to go on that road, but then you're on that road and you're like, I need to catch them.
Yeah.
And you're watching that GPS as they're running, and you're just hoping. I've treed bears where the tree was on the fence line.
Yeah.
The bears, if he's on this side of the tree, he's on this land. If he's on that side of the tree, he's on res. So, and if you shoot him, you got to make sure he falls on this side.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
you even look at the bears that have been around that are closer to the towns that are living near the res. They're
Oh, yeah.
equipped. They're used to human activity, so when they see you, they don't really give a shit. They're just gonna keep walking. You know, like even Wade Hollerman got a real cool video this year of his dog's pushing a bear right towards him, and that bear just looks at him and just keeps on shredding like he wasn't there. If he didn't move, he was walking through him. And it's like that happened too, where bears they walk up and they're just like, I've seen this before. See you later. Keep going. You better shoot me right now, or else, you're gonna never see that bear again.
That's something else I thought was different that I noticed. That one we did tree that we got to and everything. As soon as the dogs were off that tree and 10 yards away, she was coming down, like right now. And I usually, you got to get the dog, like what I'm used to, you got to get the dogs away. If you want a video, you got to set your camera up and hide around the mountain and come back in 30 minutes. And sometimes they'd stay up, especially a young bear like that. Not this joker was coming. As soon as the dogs were off from underneath of her, she was coming down right now. I thought that was interesting to me. It's just a little bit more comfortable than I would have expected.
Yeah. I'm gonna rewind a little bit for Benny. Like back in the day, you listen to some of these old interviews with gosh dang it, I just posted his Bruce Kennedy, and he asked about dog food, and none of those, like, they didn't really have calculated science dog food back in the day. It was Purina. Well, I feed him Purina. Oh, I feed him dog chow. I mean, do you remember back, like, was there like a main dog food that everybody went to, Benny, or is it just kind of whatever you got your hands on? And a lot of scrap, table scrap.
Well, that was it. Whatever you got your hands on.
Mhm.
And then a lot of those guys that I started with were ranchers. And so their dogs got scraps from butcher scraps. And anytime they harvested a deer or an elk or a bear or whatever, or even lions, the dogs ate whatever was there. And so, I remember the Lee brothers talking about cooking cornbread and cornmeal for the dogs. And it was just a filler. But the offside of that was they got a lot of meat scraps. And anybody that has a real poor dog, a hard keeper, you just get your hands on some scraps, some butcher scraps, and you watch that dog put on some weight and put on some energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Man, when I was picking up, and we would pick up, this is no lie, we had to go to 30-gallon barrels because 50-gallon barrels were full. And you can't lift 30-gallon barrels of food scrap. I mean, it was everything. Beans. I mean, they just scraped plates. And I'm going to tell you, man, my dogs were the best. But you think about Ben Lilly didn't carry around a bag of dog food. He shot a deer and they ate it.
Yeah.
Even Dale Lee and them, I guarantee you they were just, it's time to eat, shoot a deer. They took what they needed and the dogs got their scraps. And
that's another thing.
Convenience.
Dustin just sent me a text and he's right. The old horses got butchered.
Yep.
John Clump was buying horses at the sale barn when they were $20 a head. And he'd give them to his kids, and if they could break them and get them ridden, then they went to the ranch. If they couldn't, or they had too many, they'd put them in a pasture and wait and send truckloads to Mexico, to the kill plants in Mexico. But every now and then, whenever they needed fresh dog feed, one of them got butchered.
That's what they do that in Alaska a lot. Horse dies up there, it goes to a musher every time. A lot of that stuff. But you can't feed game. Now we can't feed game to our dogs. That's illegal. And just so if anybody don't know, your dogs can't eat raw pork or raw bear. They should not, because they'll get trike. Neither should you. That's a fair deal. Livers are okay, but like the regular meat, they carry trike. I wouldn't do that.
Over in the West, we call it trick, but just in case anybody can't understand
Yeah.
that.
Hey, I've fed my dog bears after I butchered, and I've never had a problem.
I think it just
I think
depends
they
on.
handle it better than a human does.
Yeah, they're not gonna. It's not gonna affect them the way that we do, but it's not the greatest. Lions can have trick as well. Anything that has eaten, meat or any type of thing in that can get it. But yeah, that's the hardest thing about feeding a dog raw is getting a consistent amount of it, and also, it has to be. It can't just feed it meat. It's got to be organs. It's got to be bone, tendon, all that stuff.
Skin.
Yeah, everything. They got to have all sorts of things through there, and so it's not. It's if you get a like a salvage tag, for instance, and you get a roadkill deer, it's not illegal to feed in Arizona to feed your dogs with that. It has to be.
But if you is it not illegal in Arizona to feed your game that you use your hunting tag on?
No, you just have to.
No,
you have to use
no.
it.
It says it has to be used. That's the law.
Period.
And if they start nitpicking like that, leave them sons of bitches tied to a damn tumbleweed.
Yeah, it just has to be consumed, and that's why, like our bears and lions, we have to take them out for consumption. It doesn't say human consumption. It just says it has to be consumed. So
I know in Alaska it is specifically stated that like game, you can't like kill a moose and feed your dogs. You can't catch game salmon and feed your dogs. Has to be like the spawn dead or from the.
And there's more regulation up there for better reason. They're more isolated, so that definitely makes more sense.
Well, hell, you shoot something, you don't recover it, you're done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's coming soon. But
yeah,
the first time I tried lion, a guy brought me over lion and said, "Here, feed this to your dogs." I said, "Do you eat it?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, I fired up the grill, made some, and I was hooked."
Yeah, it's good.
You
have to cook it the right way, and like I think if you kill one lion every 10 years, if you're just kind of doing it and catching every now and then, it's great, or nice every few years, whatever it may be. Lion would be great to eat. After you skinned, 10 of them, 15 of them, 20 of them a season, and you start having that smell of lion, Tom Lion rank underneath your fingernails for long enough.
Yeah.
Butcher don't run home and make a steak. You know what I mean? It's just
Not me. I bottle it all. 10 years, 20 years later, I bring it to the rendezvous and cook it.
Yeah, there you go.
I did find another bottle of 12-year-old or 2012. I'm saving that for you.
Oh my god. That makes me some good.
Brandon, you talked about all the other parts that need to be there for their healthy diet. I had a lion kitten. I was just feeding him meat, just plain old meat, and he wasn't doing good. So I started shooting jackrabbits and just throwing the whole rabbit in there, not skinning it or not gutting it. Let him pick out what he wanted, and that lion, he turned around and he got healthy and he started getting big. So all of that stuff matters.
They know what they want to eat and what they need to eat.
Well, that's why they go in for the liver and the heart first. They know that if they got to run, the best thing they can get out of that is the liver and the heart, and that speaks a lot to as far as if you needed it. I'm sure back in the day the natives and they pull the liver out and chow on that thing right then and there, and to give them good energy after being on a hunt, and it speaks to it. Like the heart, it's lean, but it still has fat in it. It has all the good nutrients that you can possibly need. And so, it's pretty interesting deal to, I bought a dog off a guy a few years ago, and they do nothing but raw feed their dogs. And I do think you can tell a little bit of a difference in the dog, in the way that they're built. Their bones look a little sturdier. They just look like they have a little bit more base to them. But I guess, that could be in breeding and everything as well. But their coats all look really great. And they said that they don't consume quite as much either, as far as like the total poundage of, like kibble in the amount that it has to swell and all that stuff doesn't take up as much. So I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist when it comes to dogs. I just like to see things that guys do along the way and mix it up and I've tried a few different dog feeds. Personally, I like Black Gold. Black Gold's one of my favorite feeds that I've ever fed, and I've gone away from it and I've consistently gone back to it. And, so that's just what I feed. I enjoy it, but
I just learned that you could still get it. I thought it was gone. But Chad told me that he's got the line on where you can get it. I didn't know it was still a thing.
Arizona's a tough place to get good chow.
Any dog food.
Yeah. And it's just, for some reason, this corner of the country which doesn't make any sense because there's a lot of distribution centers that come out of Utah and everything like that. It's just it's the freight down here. The freight coming down here is out of the way of every other place that they like to go, and so it costs an arm and a leg for that most of the time. But it's tough. You just gotta find what works for you. Put time into paying attention to your dogs when you do change a feed. And
keyword, pay attention right there.
Yeah.
If they're getting a little skinny, give them a little more. If they're getting a little fat, cut it down. Yeah, I think a lot of people just throw food.
Yeah,
they measure it.
Break the food up, look at it, and check their poop every now and then. Make sure that it looks the same as or it looks healthy. Because sometimes, I know it's like you can see some feeds that you feed, and you can see that there's like a lot of grainy in their feces. They got a lot of like grains that are still in there, and I gotta wonder. It looks real soft and mushy, and it don't look like it's holding together quite right. I don't really like the look of that. I can't imagine it's getting
Purina.
Yeah. Let me tell you about a story. You always try to find the cheapest dog food that's the best. When I first, way back then, there was, I think, Tractor Supply or Cow Rant. They had like an $11, $12 bag of dog food, and I always kind of made dog food with rice and chicken too. I tell you, when I'd use it as a filler, but man, I fed that stuff, and I swear, when they're out there pooping, it would just blow away because it was so dry coming out of them. And I was like, God dang.
Yeah.
But I used to make rice and chicken and buy cheap dog food, old Roy, and I would make 5-gallon bucket, and you got to make just enough so it don't mold, whatever. And then that's how I fed my dogs. And I would boil my chicken, strip the bones. But then, you start reading, I'm like, well, hell, just give them the raw chicken with the bones.
Yes, sir.
They can eat the bones if it's raw. And you don't really think about that. You're like, I'm going to cook them big old. And I would. I had a big old pot, cook them it all up, and mix it with some dog food as a filler. And that's what I fed them. And they did really good on it. But that's a lot of time. I'm happy with Value Pack. I tried them for a month before I said I'd use them. And I've noticed, because I have some woofers that just suck that food down, and it drives me crazy. But I noticed with these in these little tiny small kibbles, that the real small round ones drive me crazy because I have to feed them in my bowls now, not on top of their dog box. And that's how I train them. You see me, I said, get on your box, and they get on their box. That's how I trained them. Now that crap rolls off, and I told the sponsor guys, hey, can you make these square or something? So I get, but I've noticed the dogs that really wolfed it down, and all my dogs take their time eating it and actually chew their food. It's weird. I don't know if it's just
I wish that somebody would make about a baseball size kibble for dogs. That's just
a 2.5 cup ball they can chew on.
Then they have to chew it. They got to chew that thing down, and they got to chew the food. It cleans their teeth. It gets it, instead of just woofing the whole thing and swallowing half the crap of it. And it's just like, I can't imagine that's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a dog, but my best guess.
How handy would that be to carry 5 of those in your pack or 10 of those in your pack?
Right? Yeah.
Just hand it out. But what we never talk about, and everybody talks about dog food, but why don't people feed, I know it's probably more expensive, but a can of dog food? Why don't they feed soft dog food? What is soft dog food? Bad or?
It's low calorie. It's really low calorie, and it has preservatives in it, like more so. It's not generally good, and it's super low calorie. You'd have to feed like a big dog, like not him maybe, but
Like dirty, it has to be
it's
5 cans.
Yeah, 5 cans, 5 of the big cans. You know, it'd be crazy. I don't feed dry. I haven't fed dry in years and years. Since I went to Alaska, I started, making like a wet food, and I still do it with now. I don't feed anything dry. I haul extra water, and I just get water in them that way. Another way to get them to drink.
Oh,
And
especially when you're hunting, I love putting water.
I
in
do
the
it
food.
every day. They're drinking a soup. It's like baited water more than it is wet food.
I always
And,
wonder about that don't take water. Like I've heard, Nook Shook. I've never fed it myself, but guys really love it. But they say you can soak that shit in water for as long as you want, and it won't ever absorb it really. And I gotta wonder, like, what's the, why is it not retaining? There's got to be.
It won't take why it won't take water.
Because of the glaze.
It's not glazed in fat. Like that's the way they do other dog foods. It's injected, so it won't soak up water because it's like a ball. It's already got as much fat as it'll take in it, so there's nowhere for the water to absorb to.
It's like an oil protection around it.
Yeah, it's just like a ball of fat with other stuff on it. It's like fat. It's like protein on the fat instead of the fat on the protein, and it has a lot less fillers. But you can put it in water, and guys use it. I mean, it's big in the sled world, especially in Canada.
Well, and food. Just as much as we talk about food, we got to talk about hydration too. And like I don't think guys you can throw water in their feed, which obviously helps, but a dog needs to consume a lot of water after a day of hunting. Where especially like up here, we got next to no tanks that have any water in them. So we might be going all day from the time we leave the truck till we get back to the truck without water, unless I'm packing a mule with water. And so they're going to go all day. I supplement with this stuff called GlycoCharge, and it's a glucosamine supplement that
Is it a paste?
No, it's a powder, and you can mix it in. You mix it into your into a big bucket or whatever, and you pour it out individually, or you can just mix a big mixing. And I like to put it in like a jug and shake it real good, and then pour it into a big 5-gallon bowl or something, or 10-gallon bowl for all the dogs to drink after a day of hunting. You're supposed to do it 30 minutes after they're done exercising or whatever, if you're done hunting. So I keep it in the trailer, and as soon as we get back to the truck, I mix that up and throw it to them. And it's supposed to rehydrate their muscles a hell of a lot better. And because like I've talked about, dogs don't sweat, so they don't lose electrolytes in the way that we expect them to. They're not like a horse. Like you give dog, I almost made the mistake a long time ago thinking, dogs need electrolytes, this and that. I have filled a bowl or a big jug of water with horse electrolytes, shook it all up, went to go out there to go give it to him, and I thought, you know what, I better look this up real quick and make sure this is safe. And I looked it up, and they said, no, don't do that. It could kill your dog because there's some sort of certain thing in there that, it zaps them. And, so, I mean, it's just not the same way, but hydration is super, super important. Forcing, making sure your dogs because some guys might worry about feeding in the morning. My biggest concern is get those dogs drinking. Before I load them in the trailer, I put a bowl of water out, I let them drink. When we get as soon as we get out before we go ride out to hunt, I let them drink and let everybody get something in them, because the conditions we hunt in anyways in the Southwest are so damn dry and arid that dog is not getting what it needs through the day if it's not being able to stop every, couple miles for water.
And I don't know what it is about a dog, but when you let a dog out of the box, at your house, it won't go to his dog. It will go to another water and drink. When I take the dogs, load them up in the morning, I fill my water bowl up in the truck, and they all drink like they have not had water, and that drives me so crazy. And you take them out, they'll go to another bowl and drink. But you put them on their chain by their bowl, I'm like, you're not going to drink now? I don't know. Maybe the males piss in the water, drives that gone.
Yeah.
But that's what they do, and I try to wash my bowls out. The males, you can tell it starts greening up, but when I load them up in the morning, I fill that bowl up, and they act like they haven't drank water. So I always, same as you try to get them water as much as you can, as much as you can. But
I have the same problem. Leave their bowls on the picket line, they won't drink them, all night. But I keep water in both sides of my box, and they drink it pretty good throughout the day. I get a couple of gallons per side. They drink pretty good, and then whenever we get them back, So like if we go on a race and we get back to the truck, then we give them water again. Or if we go to a new spot, let them out to empty. We always give them water again, or give them let them out at a place, where there's like a stream or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Generally.
I don't know, man. Even the streams, they don't like run and drink to it sometimes. Like you'll go take them to a pond and they'll water. You put them in the truck, dump some water, and they'll drink it. You're like, what are you doing?
That's what I'm telling you, man. I swear by that glycocharge. They can't. They love the flavor of it. I could sit a dog on a 2.5 gallon bucket and he'll drink it all. I mean, I'm telling you.
And I break all mine to drink either out of like I can squirt something in their mouths. I put a thumb in their mouth to open their mouth. I can squirt in there, or I can spit water in their mouths. I do the same thing with my horses. I just get them where I can give them a drink just on the trail, because like you say, down here we might be out for 5, 6, 8, 10 miles before we get into any water. So I like to give them a little bit of drink.
Someone will comment on this.
That old adage, all over. I'll comment on that. I think that old adage is it would work if dogs were used to having to hunt for their food always. If they weren't used to the rest of the year being fed on a normal schedule, it would work. But how often have you ever not eaten breakfast or not eaten lunch, gone out and hiked your ass off all day and felt good about yourself and ready to go at it the next day? You forget your breakfast and your lunch, and all you maybe get is a piddly little dinner. That next day, you're going to be hurting pretty bad. So, it's nutrition is super important in everything. It's the key to life and everything. It really is.
We talked about this, and I was kind of going to jump into it when you said we eat 3 times a day, and I don't think we should eat 3 times a day. And you got to remember, we're nomads, right? We're hunter-gatherers, we're wanderers. But what we were eating were pinion nuts. 14 pinion nuts is like 1,400 or 1,800 calories. Like a handful of pinion nuts gives you enough calories for the day. And that's what people were eating. But think about Ben Lilly. He was just traveling, eating whatever he could. He was the same way. He carried corn hodgers in his pocket, or corn dodgers, just like Rooster Cogburn. And I guarantee you, he was if he seen a squirrel, he shot it, and he ate it.
When I was guiding in Idaho, year round. I mean, no breaks. Essentially, there's like maybe a month off the entire time throughout the seasons that are available there, and I was doing nothing but hiking my ass off every single day with no livestock, nothing. I was 170 pounds, and I'm 210 pounds now because I eat properly and I supplement myself properly. I was barely eating right. I was not feeling good, especially, looking back then, I didn't think anything of it, but looking at it now, I perform a hell of a lot better. My cognitive abilities are a lot better. And especially when it comes to dry ground line hunting, like there's going to be days where you might not go 20 miles as the crow flies or even 10 miles as the crow flies. But that dog is going to be working from the time its feet are on the ground and it gets out of that trailer until the time it gets back. That is a lot of calories burnt, and it has to be supplemented properly with at the right times with the right amount of nutrients that it needs. And same with us too. I think that as hound hunters, we kind of pride ourselves on being mountain tough and been really tough, but I don't need to eat and this and that. No, you're gonna be a better houndsman because you're gonna think better on your feet. You're gonna be able to fight harder, faster, and longer. You're not gonna fall out in the middle of a hunt. You're not gonna want to quit on your dogs. You're gonna want to push yourself harder, which is gonna make your dogs better, because you're going to be able to go throughout the entire day of hunting instead of just, it's starting to slow down. No, get your ass down there, go find that track, figure out where they made that lose, and get the dogs going again, and then catch up with them later. Whole.
And we're advanced, right? We have little bars that have everything you need in it. You could carry 10 of them in your pocket. Yeah. Me, I'm a sardine. I'm an oyster guy. I carry my oysters. I
like eating real food, so I carry real food with me. But still, it's like, bring food, pack a sandwich with you. Bring some extra stuff.
Peanut butter.
Yeah, bring what you need, but then And even, in the off season, go for a hike. If you can't go to a gym or anything like that, go hiking around. Go take your dogs out. And when they're getting exercise, you got to be exercising too, because you're essentially only as good as, your dogs can only
You
be
got
as
to
good
be
as,
in shape too.
yeah, damn right you do.
Yep.
Because nothing frustrates me more when I see a guy that's well overweight and they got a pack of dogs in a truck, and I'm going, hey, you ain't well overweight. You know what I'm talking about. You see those guys where you're, when was the last time you hiked to a tree? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I get it. Everybody's got their different stuff, but as a houndsman, you gotta, if you expect your dogs to do something, you gotta do the same. You gotta step up and get yourself ready, and you gotta push yourself physically throughout the year, even in the off season, in order to make yourself capable of being good for those dogs too.
It's a safety thing. I think we owe it to the dogs. You can't be in shape to where you cannot go where they're going to go under any circumstances. You don't have the option. It's not like, I was talking to a boy this weekend about the difference between this and elk hunting. If we're elk hunting, if I don't want to go over that mountain, I don't have to. I can hunt that tomorrow. I can go down this way. I can hunt my way back toward camp. We don't have that option. We're going to go where the dogs are going to go, and that's just how it is. We don't have any choice. If they go through over that saddle, guess where we're going, boys? Up and over that bad boy.
Yep.
We went to Escadilla, and I was showing him. He's like, I hope we rig one in here. I was like, I don't, not really. It's pretty hot, and I guarantee you, if we do, they've come down off of that to this water, and they're going to go right back over that joker.
Did you say Escadillas?
Yeah, we went down there just to see it.
I've been up there, man.
We just went in there to see it one day at lunch, because we was quitting. It was getting warm, so we just drove through there to give her a look. We let them down to have a drink, on that little creek and just look around. And the boy was like, that'd be really cool if they jumped one up here. I was like, no, it wouldn't, because they're going to go over that saddle right there. I guarantee you. We ain't going to catch it down here in this nice stuff.
Everyone I've caught over there, I start it in the middle and they run the side. I don't know. They run down. I don't know why. Me and Elizabeth caught quite a few over there. So.
I think,
the bears in Arizona live where they live.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that old adage,
the country club eating garbage.
Right in the middle of Pine Top behind that old lady's house.
Yeah, but it's like they live. It's kind of like the old adage, elk are where you find them. It's kind of, the bears live where they live here in Arizona. When you find where the bears are living, it's going to be very obvious. You're not going to go in there and be like, man, I wonder if a bear's been in here. You're going to go in there and you're going to find piles of bear crap. You're going to find turned over logs, turned over rocks. And you're going to find,
scratching trees and
fold down, broken limbs off of the edge of stuff, those pinion nuts or whatever it is that they're eating in there. They are very much habitual critters out here, but you got to go find them out here. They do not. I've hunted bears in a lot of places over the years, and Arizona, I wouldn't say with dog hunting that they are the hardest bears to catch, but I would say they are some of the hardest bears to find, because you don't just drive the roads and find, and depending on what unit you're in, like 27 is an exception. There's an insane amount of bears there.
There are no roads in 27.
Right. And if you look at the stats, there's more bears that get killed there every single year than any other unit. But you come into a year where Unit 7, for instance, it is beautiful country up here for a bear. In most years, bears are killed in here. Last year, it was extremely dry. The forest was doing fuel burns all over the ground. There was not a single bear killed in Unit 7 last year. Now, Unit 8, another really great bear unit. That's a great bear hunting unit for dog hunting. There was 4 bears killed in there last year. Not a single one was killed by a guy with hounds.
That's because they were all in Unit 1. Not hound guys. There was only 20% killed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the bears here might be there this year, but they may not be there next year. And you got to go find where they live. So it's a challenge for bear hunting here. And it makes you have to have a different type of dog. Because there's a lot of dogs that are really great bear hunters because they can strike a track because they can smell a bear, you know, that's 200, 300 yards off the road. There's a lot of places in Arizona where a bear doesn't need to be 200 or 300 yards off the road. And by this time the sun comes up, that heat and that thermal is already blowing the wind upward, and they're not going to be able to smell it. So you got to get your butt out of the vehicle and you got to go hike and look for where those bears might be. And you might cold trail around a little bit, but it's going to make you a better bear hunter. I promise you that.
I'll agree with that wholeheartedly. They're in pockets, and the pockets are not where they should be. Like where the bears will be, that ain't where them pockets are. You'll find we had one running, and then we got a split race. We jumped another bear while chasing this bear, and we got two bears going. Seen them both. Caught the one we treed, and the one I pulled them off when it was going to the rest. You know, that's just wild. That there'll be no bears. And then all the bears are right here, and it don't make any sense, you know.
I have seen guys rig a mountain, and I said I've religiously hunted that mountain, and I will see a guy rig this mountain and leave, and I will free cast into that same mountain because, like anything, you look at a mountain, it's a hill.
Yep.
Walk a mountain, and there's tons of pockets, tons of canyons, tons of places that those bears are nice and cool. They're laying on their back with their balls hanging out, chilling.
The bears live in very nasty places out here.
Oh, they can.
And that's what we did this weekend. How many trucks were up in that same area, Chris? What, 10, 12? Or 10,
I didn't pass a lot, but I take the roads that you're not like bad roads. I don't just run the good roads. So I only passed Sunny Tapia. I didn't even run into you guys till I had your dog.
Yep.
You know,
but I mean, as far as up there, I think there was 12 dog trucks in that area that I knew of.
Yeah.
And Sonny caught one, right?
I think he caught more, but he did catch one that first day.
He caught. I mean, just on that in that first. Sonny caught one, and we're all rigging the same roads, and the California crew goes down through there. They caught one too, but they come through there. And then there's 3 trucks of guys. I don't know who they are. And one of them might have been Sonny. I don't know what he looks like. But there's 3 trucks of guys come through. That one other fella goes through. We come through. Nobody rigs anything. And then we go in just cast the dogs up in the middle of this. And the big loop runners get in there.
Didn't you have a bear run behind you? And then
California. That's the California one got the one that crossed right behind us. That's right. They bear crossed right. We come down the road, and here they come. Bear crossed right in front of them. That's the one they caught. But we rigged the road behind guys, and nobody's getting anything. Well, the one bear that we caught, guys drove past us, and nobody rigged it. We didn't rig it either. Dogs get in, cast in there 800 yards, and popped it up. That one, we did have one good rig, but we drove one of them roads like you say, where it dead ends in the middle of this unit. And it was a nasty jump. Do what?
Did he sound like a robot to you, Brandon?
I couldn't hear nothing. I couldn't hear anything.
He sounded like a robot for a half second.
I don't know. But that one that we treed that was a box shaker, but we drove to a dead end logging road and dead ended in there at this thicket, and it just blew the top off the box, We jumped on it. They jumped it in 50, 100, 150 yards, and the fight was on, and just wild. You just got to get in there, or have dogs that'll get in there. And I seen a dog. You see a dog, you kind of know how it's built, what it's going to be. I seen a blue dog this weekend.
Can you hear it? Can you hear me, Brandon?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Is my sound messed up?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Okay, maybe he can't hear.
But I seen a kind of a little bit shaggy-haired hound. Not like really shaggy, but he had longer hair than a lot of hounds. And he just looked like, you seen him, I'm like, this joker is going to be the slowest thing since, the speed of smell in the wintertime kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's going to have no bottom. I thought it was going to be just, this dog is going to fall out after one day. And I'm telling you, that dog was in the front for 2 days. I mean, he was smoked after that, but 3 big long races. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed. And I like a speedy dog, but he was right up there with my fast one. And, had good sense of himself.
My commitment to having great bear dogs has definitely declined since I moved to Arizona, because the our bear season is such a vulnerably short season out here that I've had a hard time really wanting to push dogs to be incredibly great bear dogs. I still catch bear, whatever, but not in the manner that I used to, that's for sure. And I don't nearly have the hair pulling dogs that I used to. And I think like I've got a terrier that I've never really had a bear that won't tree for him. He just chew on their ass until he either gets tore up and has to, have me come pick him up or something, or he'll just keep pushing on him. But, to have a dog like that is, it's kind of like Ben was talked about before. If you're going to have a dog like that, you got to have 10 more to be behind it and give it some ass when it needs it. And I don't have those type of, and I don't have all those types of dogs anymore. And so, unfortunately, he's sitting until I have clients because I don't want him going and getting torn up without having a client in camp. But like Dustin and I went out for a day, for half a day, and poked around, and we just kind of rode around on the mules. And I was just trying to kind of find the bears where they're at in the country that I have found them historically. And we rode into this drainage that is a really nice little kind of tucked away spot that you either got to hike into, you can't rig it from the road or anything like that. And normally there's a couple little pockets of water. It's like a creek drainage sort of deal, and they'll have these little, where the rock kind of dips down underneath a ledge and it holds water in there sort of deal. And every single one of them was completely bone dry. We didn't find a single bear turd in there. The dogs cold trailed around on something for a short little time. And we went and we found one of the trick tanks had a little bit of water that the elk had been hitting a bunch. And I think that in my mind, it was like, you're kind of there thinking, oh, heck yeah, we're going to go catch a bear.
Oh, he froze on us.
Oh, man. No good.
I kicked out.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah, you're back now.
I was just happy to be out there with the dogs, running around in a season that, you can catch something. But like you said, it's a getting in shape season. It's getting dogs get on their feet on the ground. Yet I was happy to go out and not have any BS races. Get out with dogs that some dogs are young and haven't been out with the rest of the pack very much. And it's nice to just get that pack time in, start figuring out who's the lead, start falling into their place in the pack, figuring out what they're going to open up on, if what their voice sounds like, especially when you get a new dog, you get those pups out there. Bear season's a great time to figure out what they're going to do with their voice and their nose, and
how to read them.
Yeah, you got to learn how to listen to that dog, figure out what his voice is. It's funny when I got 20 kennels out there, and a dog will be barking, and I'll yell, shut up to that specific dog, and a client will be here and say, how the hell do you know?
Every time they say, how do you know it's that dog? I'm like,
and I go, how do you know when your mom's yelling at you versus your dad? You know their voice. They each have a different voice, as similar as they might be. They're not identical, and you got to get out there, and you also learn who's barking for what reason too. Because if you got a dog that's a young dog, might still be entertaining, wanting to chase squirrels and barking on different stuff, or you're going to find out if they're an independent dog where they're going to go out and try to find their own track versus they're just going to fall in with the rest of the pack and stuff like that. So I love this early bear season. It's kind of like a training season for us. It's usually a unpredictable weather type of deal because especially over where I'm at, last year we had all the rain in the world, and there was so many puddles and everything they could drink out of, so everything was dispersed. And now this year it
could be hot, could be cold.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch on when you were I forgot what I was going to talk about. I started going off on a tangent, and I had it in my head. I was waiting for you to slow down.
Oh shoot! Sorry, man.
No, that's what it was. You said it's a short season, which it is. Well, it is and it isn't. But I'm telling you, 6 years ago, they didn't shut down. And I don't know what changed it. I'd like to say maybe more guides, because just in my over-the-counter elk hunt right now, I've hunted this since 2005. I moved up here full-time 2005. And I've hunted my golf course and my backyard And I've ran into more guides here now because of the OTC hunt, because it's hard to get drawn, obviously. And they've killed the guy I just talked to me, killed a 397 right out my back
Nice.
door.
Right
You know what
on.
I mean?
Yeah.
But we used to, like, 3B used to just stay open. It was kind of the reserve. Like, you shut unit 1 down, you'd go to 3B. You shut 3B down, you go to. They never shut down the first week like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hunt, and there was nobody out there. Like right now, I've been going out hunting all week in the golf course, and I'm seeing 2, 3 trucks, 4 or 5 trucks, and Wednesday on Tuesday, and I'm like, what the hell? Out there, I wouldn't hunt, but like Monday through Thursday, because
Well,
there was nobody out there, and it was, you had it to yourself.
Like we've talked about, that it wouldn't be so bad if we could just have a training season consistently through the
Yep.
bear season. That's what makes it tough. I would be glad to have multi-species dogs. Have bear and lion dogs that are going to be just as good bouncing between the both, transitioning over. If I had 4 months to run them consistently, but you can have a season closed down because they have these seasons so broke up, and normally they don't update the kill quotas until Wednesday, and they've already updated the 6B. 6B's already had 2 cows killed in it, and it's like,
Yeah.
So what if they killed 4 sows over one weekend? I got a weekend of bear races, and maybe get a dog tore up to go chase a bear for one weekend, and then I got to wait 3 more weeks, and then maybe go get another dog tore up, and then that gets closed down. It's very vulnerable, and so it's tough to commit, especially because I focus my business mostly around dry ground lion hunting. I can't sacrifice a dog on a bear, for the value as what they are to my business, I guess, to just go
Yeah.
And that's why, truthfully, that's why I've, had guys that come on and help me that are absolutely incredible bear hunters. They got great bear dogs, got guys like Dustin and Colton Christian up in Utah and stuff. And there's guys that, have those type of dogs. And that's where we're trying to do something for people that don't get to do this all the time. And so I want to get guys that, if my dogs can't perform to the top ability to be able to get the job done, I get some guys in that can. And it's great. Like those Utah guys, man, they have a great diverse season. They can chase bears and lions equally throughout the year, enough that they can have really good, crossover dogs.
Well, we should be able, and I think it's coming, just like lion. And it wouldn't bother me a bit that when bear shuts down, we could still go pursue, buy a pursuit tag, whatever, or you use your tag. Lion, you could kill one and go still pursue. I think it should be the same with bear.
I agree.
But and the only controversy I've gotten from that is people are like, "Oh, well, you're gonna teach them bear to run or tree or."
So what? It ain't gonna hurt nothing. It ain't gonna hurt nothing.
I don't think so.
They need to go somewhere where you can pursue them all year. Like I always talk about West Virginia. Those bears get run all year long, and it ain't bad. It's plenty good. You'll still get little bears with their Nikes on that run your guts out, and you'll still get some that just pop right up. It's the same as this. You still get a big bear that'll fight you on the ground and won't climb. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. The only thing it will do is it will keep them out of the houses a little more. The more we run them, the less they'll get up in Grandma Linda's.
The more pressure they have with dogs, they hear a dog bark. Hey, even Bear League said that. Even Bear League put that out there, that if you let your dog dance with the bears, you're gonna teach them that.
And Bart proved it. The more you run them, the more they shy away from. The more you run them, the more they shy away from human interaction, human presence. That keeps them into the wild places, out of the backyards, and away from the human beings. So the conflicts go down. Bears that get killed by game and fish go down. The relocation goes down. So the monies that get took out of the program, it all goes down. It's good for everybody. Good for the bears. Good for us. Good for the resource.
Well, I think that just takes time. Like, nothing happens overnight. We see it as a simple solution, but they don't really see it that way. They see it as, we have to manage these bears and the way that we've been doing it. But as the, nuisance bears continue to be a persisting problem, over time, they're going to eventually have to call on some help. And we've got, you know, wheels in motion to try to do things like that. I
We're
think
working on it.
the seeds
Yep,
being
yep.
planted, and then as these
But
things
we're
transparent,
working on it with everybody.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
That's our
they're trying to
goal.
make it where all sides are understanding of what the purpose of it is. And so I think that it's just a matter of time that we will have that. We got to be patient, and none of us are good at that because we want to get out there and go hammer them. And
Yep.
you know, we obviously we can scream it till we're blue in the face, but we kind of got to go at it a little bit diplomatically and walk into it with a science-based mindset versus just, you know, out there to train dogs, because they could care less about us training our dogs. If
Yeah,
we're,
yeah.
you know, honestly, like, we all know that at the end of the day, it's got to be about the greater good for the population of the animals and for the public, you know. And so if we can get everybody on board for a program that works, then we might be able to have that benefit of, you know, kind of being Arizona's Fish and Game's kind of tool, I guess. You know, they can utilize us, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys that would be very happy to be helping with that.
Oh, that you got 4 parts to that. You got the hunters, the non-hunters, the anti-hunters, and the agency that runs all of it. And I understand a lot of people give the Game and Fish a lot of grief. And here's an example. You guys, everybody's seen the whole the elk and the bighorn sheep that got killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a comment on there that said, why does the Game and Fish all of a sudden worry about that waste of meat when there's all this waste of meat on the roadways and they don't care about it? But to me, the guy called me stupid and all that stuff. And I said, well, basically, there is salvage tags. If you're driving by somebody, they hit an elk, you can get that salvage tag. You don't have to be him. There's so much of that stuff picked up, fed to the wolves. The wolf people love it. They love when they get that roadkill, you know, and
One
that
of the
drives
things
me.
I do know that DOT, because like this happened when I was going down to help Dustin move last week. There was a dead bull that got hit on the side of the road, and I went and I had to go to Fish and Game to get my bear tag. And I stopped to ask them, and I said, you know, hey, can I get a salvage tag? They gave me the phone number for it, and they said, well, DOT's likely taking it off the road already. And I'm like, well, what are they doing with it then? You know, and
They
I'm
drag
like,
it off the road. That's all they do.
and just leave it somewhere else. And it's like, okay, well, where is it going? Is it going to the dump? Are they just wasting it? So I do agree that there is some waste there. You know, they should, you know, if they see an animal on the side of the road, drag it off to the center where it's, I mean, I dragged it off the side of the road into the center median where it's not going to be obstructing anything for that purpose. And, you know, the lady would not issue me a tag until I was with the animal right then and there. And so, because I asked for a salvage tag, because, you know, that's good burger for the dogs for food and everything like that.
Hey,
that's great.
Throw it in the grinder, freeze it.
Yeah, it doesn't need to go to waste. So I do agree that there is some stuff, because I would have likely when I was in Idaho, you know, mind you, I was going down to the 124-degree valley that day, but on days that I've seen elk and stuff like that, I don't know if, because there's certain areas that sometimes that you call, that they will not just issue the tag without a game and fish officer coming out to inspect it. And so that's sometimes a tough deal, because if you're in the middle of something, if I'm going somewhere, I can throw an elk in the back of my truck by myself, no problem. But if I've got to wait an hour and a half for a fish and game officer to get there, you know, that thing's not only is it cooking in the sun for that extra hour and a half, I might not have an hour and a half to sit there and wait, where I would have salvaged that, and now it's just going to go to waste because a million people are going to drive by and go, that's probably bloated by now.
I know I think DPS are allowed to give salvage tags too. They'll call the guy and he'll just issue one over the phone.
Yeah,
but it's opportunity, right? If it works out, and if I could get a call every time something was hit, and go there, I'd do it.
Yeah, and I know there's guys that do. Like I was saying, I got a dog off a guy a few years ago that he did that every time. He'd get a call from somebody, they'd show up, and they just go get it and throw it in the truck and bring it back and process it down. And they have 5-6 freezers in their garage for dog food, you know. And so there is definitely some things, but obviously nobody gets it right all the time. You know, our fish and game office is pretty dang good. We got, you know, they support what we're doing as hound hunters. That was very evident at the meeting that we were at there.
And they got in trouble for it.
Did they really?
Well, you know, the antis did throw a little fit about them supporting it because,
Well,
but
you know,
that's their job. That's their job.
Exactly. It's their job to pick. They have to pick a side.
You know, the antis did throw a little fit about them. What is that?
I'm not sure.
Why did that feedback?
I'm not sure. That was interesting.
That was weird.
There we go.
I don't know.
So
It was weird for a minute, and I don't know what happened.
they're not always going to get it right. You know, they're not. It's not going to be one of those things that we get everything that we want all the time either, because sometimes we may not be wrong as much as we believe, or we may be wrong. We may, as much as we believe in it, we're not always right. We got to find the
what are we working on? We're working on our feelings and our emotions just as well, because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, I don't know how, but they don't understand us. How can we go out and do what we do? Just like we don't understand how they don't believe in what we do. How can they not look at the numbers and the science and the data and biologists that have been to school for 12 years saying, no, this is how it is. You know, and then they go hire a biologist, just like the Jaguar thing going around right now. I didn't really want to break into that tonight, but I'll just real quick, like they're making it like this Jaguar has this big presence, and we got these 5 pictures, but the way they did their article, it is basically they're making it like, the Jaguar's making a comeback. No, it's one Jaguar that wandered over here. Period. Cochise. He's wandered. That's what Jason Miller named it, and he just wandered over here. He'll be gone, and then he'll come back.
It's always been like that.
Always been like that.
Yeah, it's foolishness. But
that's
it's
a
all
whole nother hour.
Yeah, it's just a propaganda machine, same as it was last time, same as it was in April when they tried that crap. It's not a thing. But
anyways, 2 hours, guys.
Yeah.
Any final words for bear season? Do your best. If you're running hounds, do your best. Get out there.
Yep.
Try to. It's hard. It's hard.
Don't be scared to get out of your truck. That's what I say. There's a lot of guys that did a lot of gas tanks full of rigging and never got nothing going.
I had a guy with me, my son-in-law, that I gave him Gringo and I gave him the Beagle. I kind of regret the Beagle. He's going to come out pretty good. I might actually send that with Brandon, see how he does over there.
Yeah.
But we walked. We did some walking. We walked in and we had a train wreck and dogs were scattered. Dirty ran back and we got back. I think we got back to camp and I said, you still want to run dogs? And he said, oh yeah. I said, well, I guess you're stupider than I thought you were, but here we go.
Yeah, you got him hooked now. He's under the sickness.
Yep. So
I will say the one problem that we did have, which is that's on me, but we was going to walk some bedding areas, right? And so my buddy was going to walk these bedding areas and he was going to take my Leica dogs because they don't bark on trail. So that they're going to pop something up. That was the idea, midday, you know. They won't go with him.
Hey, I know.
They went 100 yards and come running back to the truck. I was going to drive around. They would not go with him.
I know that because I've took Elizabeth Boland's dogs and had her drop me off and tried to get her dogs. And you're right. They go 200, 300, 400 yards and they're like, wait a minute. You know, just like when my kids feed the dogs, they bark. Yep. I'm like, don't let them bark. I walk through the cedars. Them dogs are like, oh, shoot. You know, they know. And they're calling a dog and let him out of the truck and to put him on the chain when we get home. And I'm like, I'm the alpha, right? Like Benny always says, you're the alpha. And they know that. You know, I got 10-year-olds trying to yell with their man voice, you know, and it's still little girl voice. You know, the little weapons haven't dropped yet. But those dogs, you know who's in charge. Those dogs know, and they do listen to you because I'm the one, when I do feed them, like I fed today because it's going to rain, you know, and it's their chore, but man, you can't do that. You got to get out there, you know, and you got to know that Dirty didn't eat. And he was, I see his chain in his dog box. Oh, Dirty. Dirty,
Yeah.
better not be dead in there. And he comes out like, all right. He ate a little bit and he went and laid back down. I pay attention to that. I see that Corella has lost a significant amount of weight. Thank God, she's a fat ass. And they're feeding him a whole can. But me, I pay attention to how fat they are, and I'm like feeding a little handful, and she's back to where she is. So now I can regulate her back. But I got dogs, Vaca, handful of food, and she's fat. Labrador, I got handful of food. You feed them a full 4 cups or 2.5 cups or whatever the bag tells you, and you don't pay attention, they get fat. And then I got dogs. I could put a 55 yucky. I could put a 50-pound bag of dog food every day, and he'd eat it all, and he wouldn't gain a pound. He was just I call him my Ethiopian dog. He would run. His feet were tough. The guy would run. That's a dog you wouldn't burn out. I'm talking, I'm in the desert on rocks. He'd run for miles and miles. Next day, I'm waiting for him to limp. Nothing. And then, of course, it's the dog that's rock solid. And he's a red dog. I hated red dogs. So he just had everything going like he's red. I just want to go kick him because he's red. But, man, he was just a trooper. He was a trooper.
I took I just little like across, and he was just too little. He'll be 3 in Halloween, but he was just small. He grew really late. He was in real bad shape when we got him. Both of them. The one is still tiny, but he grew some legs this year, and he's still small, but it's like, I think you're big enough. And he's super bored, and every time we take him to like the park or let him go run in the desert, he's treeing feral cats. Like, I'm like, okay, you can go. I'll take him. It ain't going to hurt nothing. Worst case scenario, he'll walk around with me. And this joker just lights in there and goes to chewing on one just right now. And he's kicking tail. He's the only dog that wasn't smoked. And he ran as much as everybody. He can't hardly keep up that much. When they get in a lined out, he starts dropping back a little bit with the slow dogs, but he still gets there. And I was so tickled. First time out, and he's right in there kicking after it. I'm really excited to see what he does in on a cat. Well, a cat, I don't think a cat versus a cat smells different. Whether it's a house cat or a bobcat or a lion, it seems like the dogs that.
That's a whole nother hour conversation. Right
it
there,
is. That goes into a bear smells like a bear. No, every bear smells different.
Well,
right? Like every dog smells different, but they know it's a bear.
I just feel like
a raccoon and a bear. You were talking about the rigging. We used to hang raccoons in the trees.
Yeah.
If they could rig that raccoon, then I was like, oh, okay, that's a good deal. They're smelling it. And they're rigging it. But I've also done that with coyotes. When I'm my puppies and I hang them coyotes in the tree and they rig and I let them out and they go touch their nose to that coyote. And that coyote, man, he's electrically charged, that coyote. That's how I got him, because a dog will rig a coyote. And that's how I trained him. When I let him down, I'd let him trail it. And I'd only be out maybe 20, 30 yards, And
the best thing to do to figure out a dog is just hunt the living hell out.
Just light.
I just noticed like the puppies that want to chase cats have always been good on bobs, and then this recently, like he likes to chase cats and he'll get right after a lion, So I'm gonna try the little guy.
Oh, they've been, man. In the old days, when they're all the little whiny babies, that's how they trained. They caught them feral cats, and they dunked them in a bucket full of water. This is what I've heard. And then they let them go, and and this is what I heard again, that the puppies see it run off, you let them go. And then, and then you get to where you're taking them out, and 2 hours later coming back and trailing those cats. But I'm going to tell you one thing, in the desert, out where I live down south, there's feral cats everywhere. And I've treed feral cats before. Just like, oh, I got a bobcat. You walk up and it's a damn gray Tom. And you're like, what the hell? But, hey, they treat it. It's a dog. Feline. I was happy with it. Yeah. But Tim, I thought about that too. He said, you said something about your dog's going a couple 100 yards and he coming back could have been a lion kill. I said, it might have been eating on something, but I didn't have 30 already took off. And everything that happened this weekend was my fault. Rookie mistake. I was relying on Dirty to find that track, and I would let dogs down, and I should have done it different. I should have done it different, and it's a training season, not just for the dogs, but for myself, where you're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, come on, dummy, what are you doing? Let's bear hunt.
We had that. We had that same problem too, and so did the California crew. So did David. A lot of guys were having dogs get in there a ways and then get milling around. And when we hiked into them places, which I was lucky with the dogs that we have. A couple of times she was go making those big loops and get it figured. But what we were finding was they would get in there and it's just a scent pool where they were in there digging under stumps and flipping logs, and they might have been in there for 2 days doing that. So there's scent everywhere, and then not be able to find the out track except for get bored in here and start blowing circles and find it all by itself. And that's what happened with us.
When there's no feed, they travel longer. Now, when there's a lot of acorns, I get a lot of treeing dogs because them bears go up, come down.
Yeah.
And they feed those oak flats back and forth, and your dogs get in there and start trying to find
slicking
where it comes. Yeah, coming in and out, especially the younger dogs. But
yeah.
That's how it is. That's how it is bear hunting.
Yes, sir.
So I'm glad everybody got to get out. I'm glad I'm not the only dummy out there that made mistakes, but it happens. But other than that, rendezvous, guys. Hound trials this weekend if you guys are bored.
And that's Saturday and Sunday, right? The
Saturday
hound
and Sunday. I get there. And then this hound trials is the big one.
Yep.
If you don't bring something to eat for the potluck, then you have to pay $5 for the dinner. But I'm making tamales I got new meat, so all you whiny babies. It's from 2020 and it's beef. So I'll make tamales. I know. I don't even like popping that top at 4 years old. I'm like, oh God.
Not even aged yet.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I ate some stew Thursday night when we went out hunting, and it was from 2010. And I had dove stew. And when I make my dove stew, I bottle it, right? And I put the whole breast in it, bone and all. Cut the wings, put the breast in it. You can eat the bones. It's so soft. No lie. There's a couple hard ones, but you can actually eat the bones in it. But I didn't die. I'm still alive. And then we got the rendezvous. You guys got to buy your tickets. Like this week is preferably because she has to go buy the stuff for it. And I'm going to tell you something. $35 for a prime rib meal. Derek. Oh, you weren't there last year. Dustin was there last year. Yeah. It was a great dinner. Great for $35.
Yeah.
It was a good dinner. We got Mike Leonard coming to perform. I'm going to say I got to get a hold of Casey. We're going to eat probably around 6-ish. We'll probably do some raffles all day. So basically the Hound Rendezvous is going to be Saturday. I'm getting there Wednesday. Me and Brandon probably get drunk. We'll probably do a live out there. I'm going to we got generators. So we'll probably do our live out there. And then my granddaughter's having a 1-year-old birthday party that she switched everything around for me. So I got to come back Thursday by 1:00. So, but we're going to set up this big tent. If we have to change spots, it's not no pine trees, but there are some junipers over there. So bring your pop-up for shade canopies if you have them. Yeah. We do got a couple big tents over there. I'll bring as many pop-ups that I can.
I'm bringing 2 of them pop-up things. I got 2 that I'll bring for the rendezvous.
I think it's going to be a good time. As usual, people wait to the last minute because they don't know how many. I got people from Texas coming. My Tennessee or my Kentucky guys aren't coming, but they already bought 2 plates. So they said I can give them to somebody. I tried to get, I'm going to see if she's still coming out, a press girl to cover the story, like do a story on it. The same girl that did the story on Running Hound. We don't have a lot, but this is our second year. The first year was a hoax. Like it was like, haha, let's have a rendezvous. Bam. What the heck? We had 70 people. So whether we have 20 or we have 100, it's going to be a good time. And then it's just going to get bigger. It's just going to get bigger. And I don't want it a banquet. I want people, if you want to bring your dog, and I don't want it to hounds. I don't want it to horse hounds and mule sale. That's for that. I wanted a rendezvous where you bring a rifle and you swap somebody for a dog or a backpack, or if you want to buy a dog from somebody, you buy it under the tree. You say, I'll take that dog. I don't want no bids. If that guy says, I'll give you $5,000, that guy's going to say, I'll give you $6,000. That guy might be like, shit, I just watched that dog. I'll give you $7,000. So I wanted to be kind of a real rendezvous, and that's why I did it during bear season and lion season. And hey, if you got a bow, go whack a deer. I think that'd be kind of cool too, to whack a deer, bring it back, and let's cook it up, something.
Yep.
So and it's just for us to tell a bunch of lies. That's all it is. So throw your sleeping bag out. I don't know if it's gonna rain. If it rains good, we have the other spot. But we have a backup spot.
I'm getting Jared a joke book because I'm tired of hearing the same jokes every damn hunt. So maybe he'll go up there and tell some new jokes.
Yep. Brandon's bringing his harmonica. So
yeah.
I think Mike Leonard showing up is pretty dang cool. So pretty dang
and
cool.
So you guys will be there Wednesday.
I'm gonna be there Wednesday setting up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'll go then too. As long as I don't magic my way into a job, then I'll be there Wednesday.
We don't say that word. We don't say that word on this program. Job.
Hey, I'm unemployed right now, boys. I'm telling you.
Yep. So
it's a rough deal, but
yeah, a good time.
I'll come up Wednesday.
AZWA.com.
See you next Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome. Everybody, get your asses out there if you can.
Yep.
When are you? I got to call Jeremy, see when he's coming. No, there's plenty of room out there. So
yeah,
I believe Brett and Cody's coming. Benny's coming. Like everybody's coming again. So
it'll be a good deal.
Yep. So it'll be a good time. And Brett's bringing his equipment, so we might try to do some interviews and maybe even go live Saturday like we did last time in the afternoon.
I plan on doing some interviews too, not just all the big name pro guys like Chris here and Brandon, but I'm gonna interview. I'm gonna interview lots of guys.
That the Californian guy Brett, he called me a famous podcaster. I said, well, maybe an asshole. I don't know about famous, but he recognized me and made my head swell a little bit,
Yeah.
But it kind of embarrasses you at the same time. Like, oh, I know. Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm Brett. I'm Chris. Yeah, I know. You're a famous podcaster.
Sometimes I forget other people are even listening to this shit. I think it's just a bunch of us just in here BSing.
Yeah, it's the same people every time. But we do good on our podcast. Again, you guys can go to Apple Podcast, Spotify, RSS.com. Anywhere there's a podcast, we're probably on it.
Yep.
So, and you can listen to these. And you can also, I've been putting on, man, I got some good ones coming up. Good ones. Let me see real quick. If you guys haven't heard, I just did the Del Lees, right? Saul Goodman. He just came out Monday. Good interview. That's Bruce Kennedy. Bruce Kennedy did some good stuff. The Mike Leonard one's up. Saul Goodwin. Yeah, he just came out Monday.
That's Clayson's grandfather, I believe.
Man, it's just a real calm podcast. I have Sid Savage and Arthur Cox coming on the 18th of August, which is next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's 2 parts to that one because it's like 3 hours long. That's a good one too, man. Sid Savage and Arthur Cox, they play some banjos, they get around and talk some crap. So, and then obviously the Del Lee ones are coming out. And those Del Lee ones, man. The Saul Goodwin one came out and it had a bunch of decibel stuff going on. So I put it. If you've listened to it and it was all choppy, I fixed it. But listen to that Saul Goodman, man, that guy, just a calm guy. Just a guy who went out hound hunting, man. And they tell you those sometimes we threw a rock in the air and it landed and we caught a lion. It's just little stuff that you never think to do. So other than that, we'll see you guys either at the Hound Rendezvous or the trials, and we will be on next Wednesday, probably down at Young.
Yep. See y'all then.
And then I'll get on azhhr.com and I'll post the coordinates, and I'm gonna put signs up. I learned that from the horse, hounds, and mule sale, is they didn't have signs up. So I'm going to get some signs made up, and coming out of Young, you just go to Young and act like you're going to Globe down that dirt road out of Young, and you'll find
I'm coming from the bottom, so I won't go to Young first.
Man, you live on that side. That's a long road. That's a long road from Globe. So
yeah, I hunted. I hunted over there just south. That's where I almost died.
if you're coming out of Globe going to Young, I'll go down a few miles. Just keep driving till you see a Hound Rendezvous sign, and just
Cool
follow
fact
the sign.
as well, the most amount of bears caught in Arizona by dogs is in Unit 23 South in August, and that's right where we're going to be. So everybody
Hey,
go
bring
and
your dogs.
have some fun.
Bring
And,
your dogs.
Bring your hiking boots too, because I'm telling you, you will get in the nastiest country
it
you've
is
ever
pretty-
seen
It's
in there
big
chasing
country.
them bears. That's where I started these pups at.
Yep.
I was like, that
Away
looks
from-
real good. I went in there like, that looks big. I ain't scared. And then I about died.
And there ain't 100 roads in there.
There
There's
ain't
100
there ain't no rigging. You gonna walk. You gonna get out.
Well,
and
you can
hike.
rig
There's a-
all you want, but if you rig, you're gonna be chasing it either way. You're gonna walk.
Yeah, you gonna
So-
walk anyway. So you might as well just save the fuel.
I'm taking
Yeah.
Jeremy on the Baton Death March.
Jeremy went with Casey Fair, so
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take Jeremy. I'm gonna take Jeremy in there where I've not died, and he's gonna see all that bear sign, and I'm gonna ask him if he wants to cut loose because it looks really good. And then you look at them cliffs, and you know. But I already been to bad spots, so we'll be okay. We'll be all right.
all right, guys. Till next Wednesday.
Okay,
Yes,
see you
sir.
later.
See you,
All right,
fellas.
later.
Well,